Chapter 1205. I can sense a declining spirit aura from you. I have only felt this kind of aura from Murong-di. And your aura is even more powerful, which means that you were a powerful warrior before, right? After they sat down, Shangguan Fei took out a pot of wine while staring at Tang Ao. Tang Ao sighed inwardly at Shangguan Fei's sharp senses. He said casually, sort of. Tang Ao was a top warrior at the first level of the life and death realm. In his previous life, he was even a peak level 9 astral reaching realm warrior. As long as Tang Ao wanted to, he could easily destroy a land like this that had almost no natural yuan qi. The conversation between Shangguan Fei and Tang Ao was naturally heard by Murong Xian and Shangguan Fei. Murong Xian was a bit confused, but she did not say anything. Tai Longqing, on the other hand, did not seem to want to talk at all. He did not talk much, and not many people could hear him. Taking out a pot of wine, Shangguan Fei took out a black bag from his storage ring. As a rank 6 craftsman, Tang Ao could naturally tell that this black bag was not a normal one. It was a very low-quality rank 1 immortal weapon. Seeing this thing, Tang Ao was very shocked. Tang Ao was sure that this place did not even have a high-rank spirit weapon. But now, he saw an immortal weapon in Shangguan Fei's hand. Ignoring Tang Ao's shock, Shangguan Fei immediately put the black bag on the table. After Shangguan Fei put the black bag on the table, the thing inside the bag started to struggle violently. Seeing the movement inside the bag, Tang Ao and the other two were a bit surprised. The sack was actually filled with a living creature. Too bad that Murong-di is not here. Otherwise, he would really thank me. Shangguan Fei said as he opened the bag. The second Shangguan Fei opened the bag, a blood-colored leopard suddenly jumped out and fiercely clawed at Tai Longqing. The civet cat's speed was incomparably fast. If this attack had been aimed at Tang Ao or Murong Xian, it would have been difficult for them to dodge even if they could react in time. Just now, when facing Shangguan Fei's fine steel longsword, Tai Longqing had used his face to block it, but now, when facing the blood-red raccoon's claw, Tai Longqing suddenly took a step back. Immediately, golden light burst out behind him as he released the Dharma staff life spirit of the 9 heavens. The moment the civet cat appeared, everyone on the pleasure boat felt a demonic aura. When Tang Ao and Murong Xian saw the blood-red raccoon, they immediately retreated. The blood-red leopard cat's fur was as red as if blood was dripping from its fur. Not only that, but the raccoon's eyes were extremely demonic. Looking at it from afar, it gave off a creepy feeling. With a dull thud, the raccoon's sharp claws collided with Tai Longqing's Zen staff life soul. Immediately after, the few of them were shocked to see that Tai Longqing was actually pushed back a few steps by the raccoon's claw. Tai Longqing tightened his grip on the Zen staff and said in a low voice, Shangguan Fei, you've even stolen Lady Luyan's 3-tailed blood leopard cat. Can you even afford to raise it? As for this demonic beast, Tang Ao did not recognize it. However, judging from Tai Longqing's expression, this demonic beast seemed to be quite unusual. Tang Ao did not recognize this demonic beast, but Murong Xian did. Murong Xian immediately sent a telepathic message to Tang Ao, Tang Ao, stay back. This is a demonic beast that eats human blood. Chapter 1206. He who said I was going to raise this beast? Shangguan Fei pulled out his sword and said with a smile, the 3-tailed blood civet doesn't have a tail in the beginning. After devouring the blood of 1,000 pure Yang warriors, it will grow its first tail. After devouring the blood of 1,000 pure Yin warriors, it will grow its second tail. By repeating this cycle, it can grow a total of 9 tails. This beast now has 3 tails, so it has harmed at least 3,000 warriors. It's not a big deal for me to bleed it. As Shangguan Fei spoke, the 3-tailed blood civet let out a strange cry and clawed at Shangguan Fei. When the blood civet saw Tai Longqing, it thought that it was Tai Longqing who had caught it. After carefully identifying the aura, the blood civet realized that Shangguan Fei was the culprit. Although the blood civet was strong, Shangguan Fei was not weak either. Tang Ao saw that Shangguan Fei had his left hand behind his back and his right hand was wielding a swift sword. Ding 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 ling. With the sound of metal clashing, Shangguan Fei and the three-tailed blood civet exchanged dozens of blows. The three-tailed blood civet's sharp claws danced like the scythe of the Grim Reaper. Shangguan Fei's sword danced, and no matter how the three-tailed blood civet attacked, it could not break through Shangguan Fei's defense. Moreover, in the gaps between the blood civet's moves, Shangguan Fei could barely leave 2 bloody marks on the blood civet's body. However, the three-tailed blood civet's defense was also amazing. Even Shangguan Fei's sharp sword could barely cause some superficial wounds. When the three-tailed blood civet failed to take down Shangguan Fei, it suddenly flew into a rage. Its 3 blood-red tails danced quickly, and the three-tailed blood civet's aura suddenly rose. Seeing this, Tai Longqing smashed the cabin wall with his palm and was about to escape. However, Shangguan Fei laughed and said, "Tai Longqing, if you dare to leave, I will catch up with you. Let's see if the three-tailed blood civet kills you first or me first." "You bastard!" After hearing Shangguan Fei's words, Tai Longqing, who was about to escape, could only walk back with his Buddhist staff. At the same time, he took a heavy step forward, gripped the Buddhist staff tightly with both hands, and smashed it down hard on the three-tailed blood civet. But at this moment, the three-tailed blood civet's aura was already infinitely close to the 8th level of the body refining realm. Although Tai Longqing's Buddhist staff had caught the three-tailed blood civet off guard, after forcefully receiving Tai Longqing's Buddhist staff, the three-tailed blood civet's body only swayed a few times before immediately stabilizing. Clearly, this heavy blow did not cause too much damage to it. "Tai Longqing, if you don't bring out your true abilities, I will be leaving first." When Shangguan Fei saw that Tai Longqing's attack did not cause any damage to the three-tailed blood civet, he immediately said with dissatisfaction. Tai Longqing did not try to explain. That attack just now was indeed just to test how strong the blood civet cat was after it went berserk. Now that he had confirmed the power of the three-tailed blood civet cat, Tai Longqing's body suddenly swelled up. At the same time, strange blood-blue and white runes appeared on his skin. After Tai Longqing transformed into this Muyen, his aura was actually not the least bit weaker than Shangguan Fei's. And after feeling Tai Longqing's suddenly rising aura, the three-tailed blood civet actually gave up on attacking Shangguan Fei and instead pounced towards Tai Longqing. Clearly, at this moment, the three-tailed blood civet sensed that Tai Longqing's threat was even greater than Shangguan Fei's. Chapter 1207. The fact that the three-tailed blood civet cat did not notice him was exactly what Tang Ao had been hoping for. If Tang Ao was at his peak, the three-tailed blood civet cat was nothing to Tang Ao. However, Tang Ao's current strength was less than 1/10,000th of his peak. Against this terrifying three-tailed blood civet cat, Tang Ao had no way of fighting back. Rumble! Right at that moment, a thunderous explosion sounded in the sky. The ferocious three-tailed blood civet cat actually paused for a moment. Tang Ao narrowed his eyes. In that instant, Tang Ao clearly saw fear in the three-tailed blood civet cat's demonic eyes. It was obvious that the three-tailed blood civet cat was afraid of the power of the lightning. Knowing that the three-tailed blood civet cat was afraid of lightning, the best way to deal with it was to use the lightning guiding formation. However, the lightning guiding formation required spirit stones to activate, and there was no way to use spirit stones in this place. Due to the fact that the laws of heaven and earth in the Flying Star continent were too unique, spirit stones would immediately turn to dust in this place. Actually, with Tang Ao's current abilities in the Tao of formations, he did not need to use spiritual energy and could use the Yuan Qi in this place to set up the lightning guiding formation. However, The yuan qi of heaven and earth in this place was also pitifully thin. It was obviously impossible to use the yuan qi of heaven and earth to activate the lightning guiding formation unless Tang Ao could gather the yuan qi. This was not the first time Tang Ao had this idea. Previously, Tang Ao had used a spirit gathering formation to gather the yuan qi of heaven and earth. However, the spirit gathering formation could gather the yuan qi of heaven and earth, but it could not gather the yuan qi of heaven and earth. However, Tang Ao still wanted to give it a try. He transmitted his voice to Murong Xian and asked, "Miss Murong, may I know what kind of formation is used to gather the yuan qi on this pleasure boat? Does Miss Murong have the blueprint of this formation?" Although Murong Xian did not know what Tang Ao was thinking, she immediately took out a jade slip and handed it to Tang Ao. At the same time, Murong Xian took out a net that was adorned with all sorts of strange gems. However, after taking out the net, Murong Xian did not attack immediately. Instead, she looked at the three-tailed blood civet cat cautiously. Up until now, Murong Xian still had no idea why the madman, Shangguan Fei, would capture the three-tailed blood civet and bring it here. However, Murong Xian understood that if Shangguan Fei and Tai Longqing were to escape, or if they were to be killed by the three-tailed blood civet, then no one would be able to leave this pleasure boat alive. The treasure in Murong Xian's hand was one of the Murong family's most valuable treasures, the 1,000 Treasures net. Murong Xian would never have taken out the 1,000 Treasures net if she had not encountered such a situation. Even during the Murong family's golden age, countless pairs of eyes were fixed on this treasure. Now that the Murong family was in decline, these people would have made their move a long time ago if they had not completely figured out the location of the 1,000 Treasures net. Murong Xian even suspected that Shangguan Fei had brought the three-tailed blood civet here to bait her into using the 1,000 Treasures net. Tang Ao was unaware of Murong Xian's thoughts. After Tang Ao received the jade slip, he went to one side and began to study it in detail. Through this jade slip, Tang Ao quickly grasped the method of setting up a formation on the Flying Star continent. Not too long after, Tang Ao understood the principle behind the energy-gathering formation. Immediately, Tang Ao no longer had any reservations. He immediately took out his weapon furnace and began to refine the formation flags. Chapter 1208. Although his cultivation was greatly damaged, Tang Ao's ability to forge weapons had also decreased a lot. However, this time, the spell flags that Tang Ao was forging weren't of a high grade. Therefore, it didn't take long for Tang Ao to completely forge the spell flags. After Tang Ao forged the spell flags, before Tang Ao could set up the array, the three-tailed blood civet roared furiously. It was obvious that the thunder in the sky from time to time had completely aroused the ferocity of this man-eating demonic beast. At this time, the three-tailed blood civet's eyes were scarlet red and incomparably demonic. The three tails behind it were dancing wildly, and the aura of its body was rising steadily. Not long after, the powerful aura of the three-tailed blood civet broke through the shackles of the peak of the 7th level of the body refining realm, revealing the aura of the 8th level of the body refining realm. After feeling the ferocious aura of the three-tailed blood civet, Murong Xian didn't dare to hesitate anymore. She immediately threw out the 1,000 Treasures net in her hand. The 1,000 Treasures net flashed in the air, and suddenly, there seemed to be thousands of stars appearing around the three-tailed blood civet. After these stars completely enveloped the three-tailed blood civet, they transformed into a giant net that completely wrapped the three-tailed blood civet. After this giant net wrapped the three-tailed blood civet, the three-tailed blood civet continued to struggle endlessly. After seeing this giant net, Shangguan Fei heaved a sigh of relief. "I guessed that this 1,000 Treasures net was in your hands, and now it seems that I guessed correctly. Don't worry, after we capture this beast, I only want 3 drops of blood essence from its body. I don't want anything else. I want 1 drop of blood essence, and I also want its claws. After Shangguan Fei finished speaking, Tai Long Cheng immediately said in a low voice. Hearing Tai Long Cheng's words, Shangguan Fei's eyes were full of murderous intent. Although this murderous intent was terrifying, Tai Long Cheng was also not an ordinary person. Facing Shangguan Fei's gaze, Tai Long Cheng didn't back down at all. If I can't even get one drop of blood essence, why would I take such a big risk to deal with the beloved pet of the eldest miss of the multiple chain dock? Even if we can kill the three-tailed blood civet today, if we offend the multiple chain dock, we will still be in big trouble in the future. Tai Longqing said this just in case. In Tai Longqing's heart, he also wanted the 3 drops of blood essence from the three-tailed blood civet. However, Tai Longqing did not dare to underestimate Shangguan Fei. Although Shangguan Fei looked like a madman, he was definitely not weak. Otherwise, Shangguan Wuji, who was as famous as Lu Xingjin, would not have failed to defeat him in 300 rounds 3 years ago. However, Tai Longqing also felt a little strange. 3 years ago, Shangguan Fei's cultivation level was about the same as Shangguan Wuji's. But now that Shangguan Wuji had broken through to the 9th level of the body refining realm, why was Shangguan Fei still stuck at the 7th level? Furthermore, Shangguan Fei's current cultivation level was clearly at the early stages of the 7th level of the body refining realm. Furthermore, his cultivation level seemed a little unstable, as if he was in danger of slipping back to the 6th level at any time. Could it be that he was severely injured in the battle with Shangguan Wuji 3 years ago? Tai Longqing thought to himself as he attacked the three-tailed blood civet that was trapped by the 1,000 treasures net. Shangguan Fei's eyes also flickered. He was determined to get the 3 drops of blood essence from the three-tailed blood civet. If it wasn't for the fact that he couldn't handle the three-tailed blood civet by himself, he wouldn't have lured the three-tailed blood civet and brought it to Murong Xian's pleasure boat. Now that the three-tailed blood civet was trapped by Murong Xian's 1,000 treasures net, Shangguan Fei wanted to kill Tai Longqing first before dealing with the three-tailed blood civet. Chapter 1209. Shangguan Fei then turned to look at Tang Ao and Murong Xian. At this moment, Murong Xian's face was very pale and her aura was somewhat chaotic. The 1,000 treasures net had long been refined by Murong Xian. Hence, when the three-tailed blood civet struggled endlessly in the 1,000 treasures net, Murong Xian also suffered from the backlash. After holding on for so long, Murong Xian felt that her consciousness was starting to blur. However, Murong Xian still did not dare to give up. If the three-tailed blood civet escaped this time, it would most likely start a massacre on the pleasure boat in a fit of rage. With its terrifying strength of the 8th stage of the body refining realm, not many people on the pleasure boat would be able to leave this place alive. Seeing that the 3 of them had trapped the three-tailed blood civet, Tang Ao also did not dare to delay. Array flags flew out from Tang Ao's hands and landed in a specific position before disappearing. Tang Ao's hands moved like lightning and the lightning guiding array was methodically set up by Tang Ao. As the lightning guiding array gradually took shape, the chaotic lightning in the sky became even more violent. The three-tailed blood civet was indeed very afraid of lightning. When the lightning in the sky became even more violent, the three-tailed blood civet began to struggle even more violently. Pfft! Murong Xian was the first to bear the brunt of the attack. She spat out a mouthful of blood and her body swayed twice. Seeing this, Tang Ao hurriedly said, "You two, please help Lady Murong maintain the seal of this 1,000 treasures net. Soon, I will be able to attract the lightning to attack this beast." Although the 3 of them were busy dealing with the three-tailed blood civet, they also noticed that Tang Ao was setting up the array at the side. Shangguan Fei chuckled, "My eyesight is indeed not bad. You are indeed a person who hides his strength." As Shangguan Fei spoke, he sent a steady stream of pure vital energy into the 1,000 treasures net. With the support of Shangguan Fei's vital energy, the three-tailed blood civet continued to struggle, but Murong Xian was much more at ease. Tai Longqing looked suspiciously at Tang Ao. However, when he sensed the dense thunder-attributed aura in the surrounding space, Tai Longqing decided to believe him once. Hence, Tai Longqing did not say anything and injected his essence into the Thousand Treasures net. With the support of the trio's Yuan Qi, the Thousand Treasures net became much more stable. The area that was torn by the three-tailed blood civet also slowly recovered. Roar, roar, roar! After a few attempts to break through the Thousand Treasures net, the three-tailed blood civet's body was suddenly covered in a layer of blood-red flames. The moment this layer of blood-red flames appeared, Murong Xian and the other two felt a sweetness in their throats. Murong Xian was the first to lose control and spat out a mouthful of blood. Not long after, Tai Longqing also spat out a mouthful of blood. Although Shangguan Fei did not vomit blood, his face was a little pale. Under the threat of death, the three-tailed blood civet cat used its final trump card. Quick! Tai Longqing suddenly inserted the Buddhist staff on his back and put his palms together. From his trembling palms, it was not difficult to tell that even he, Tai Longqing, would not be able to hold on for much longer. Murong Xian, on the other hand, was already numb. All she could do was grit her teeth and hold on. This was because she had already refined the Thousand Treasures net. Otherwise, Murong Xian would have been severely injured by the backlash a long time ago. All right, remove the Thousand Treasures net. Tang Ao suddenly made a hand seal. At the same time, a formation flag appeared in Tang Ao's hand. Of course, Tang Ao could direct the heavenly lightning to attack the three-tailed blood civet cat together with the Thousand Treasures net. However, the Thousand Treasures net was a treasure that Murong Xian had refined after all. It was closely connected to Murong Xian. Under the impact of the violent lightning, it was not impossible for Murong Xian to die from the backlash. However, Murong Xian's cultivation base was still too weak compared to Shangguan Fei and Shangguan Fei. As soon as she retracted her power, the three-tailed blood civet cat immediately broke through the Thousand Treasures net before Murong Xian could retract it. Seeing the three-tailed blood civet cat break through the net, Tang Ao did not dare to be careless. Immediately, Tang Ao activated the heavenly lightning without any hesitation. As the formation flag in Tang Ao's hand fell, a deafening sound of thunder could be heard in midair. Then, a lightning bolt as thick as a water bucket suddenly struck down from midair. Although Tang Ao had acted quickly, the lightning bolt had still deviated from its target. The three-tailed blood civet cat let out a blood-curdling screech as one of its tails and half of its body were shattered by the lightning bolt. Chapter 12:10. After the three-tailed blood civet's tail was destroyed by the lightning summoned by Tang Ao's lightning guiding array, a drop of red, translucent, ruby-like blood appeared in front of them. Although it was his first time seeing something like this, Tang Ao immediately recognized that it was a rare treasure. If Tang Ao's guess was right, this was the blood qi essence that Shangguan Fei mentioned. Indeed, after seeing this drop of blood qi essence, Shangguan Fei and Tai Longqing moved at the same time. However, they did not immediately snatch the drop of blood qi essence. All they saw was Tai Longqing's palm strike. The extremely weak Murong Xian was sent flying by Tai Longqing's palm strike and fell into the river of forgetfulness. Murong Xian's eyes were closed and her face was pale. In her current state, it was extremely dangerous to be in the river of forgetfulness. However, Tang Ao did not have the ability to save Murong Xian now. This was because when Tai Longqing attacked Murong Xian, Shangguan Fei also flew towards Tang Ao. Although Tang Ao reacted, he could not avoid Shangguan Fei's palm strike. Shangguan Fei's fierce palm strike landed on Tang Ao's chest, and the sound of bones cracking could be heard. Seeing that Tang Ao was not dead, Shangguan Fei wanted to attack again. Just now, Shangguan Fei's palm strike had already injured Tang Ao's internal organs. If Tang Ao were to receive another palm strike, he would definitely die in his current state. A life and death realm powerhouse being killed by a body refining realm martial artist sounded like a huge joke, but Tang Ao could not bring himself to laugh at it. Without a choice, Tang Ao waved his hand and a bluish-purple array flag appeared in his hand. After this array flag appeared, the thunder that had just calmed down began to roar again. Tang Ao steeled his heart and instantly recognized the array flag. Immediately, everyone saw the thunder above the pleasure boat explode. Dozens of lightning bolts rained down on the pleasure boat like roaring thunder dragons. Under the bombardment of the lightning, the pleasure boat was instantly shattered. Shangguan Fei, who was closest to Tang Ao, had one of his arms blown off by the lightning. Tang Ao himself was sent flying by a bolt of lightning and fell into the river of forgetfulness. His internal organs were churning, but Tang Ao still saw the blood essence falling into the bottom of the river of forgetfulness. Tang Ao took a deep breath and dove into the bottom of the forgetting river. At this time, the lightning was still dancing in the sky, bombarding the river from time to time. Tang Ao saw that the people on the pleasure boat had already scattered in all directions. Murong Xian, who had fallen into the water, was rescued by Qiu Yun and Yuer was still by Qiu Yun's side. Murong Xian, who had just fainted, had regained consciousness. At this moment she was looking around as if she was looking for Tang Ao. Tang Ao was very touched, but at this moment, Tang Ao had also reached his limit. Tang Ao grabbed the blood essence and stored it in his storage ring. Immediately, Tang Ao felt his vision go black. Then, Tang Ao was swept to the bottom of the river by a current. The White Fish River was a tributary of the River of Forgetfulness. The River of Forgetfulness was the longest river in the Flying Star continent, and its length spanned across the entire continent. The River of Forgetfulness also had many tributaries. The White Fish River was one of the more special ones among the many tributaries. There were many kinds of fish in the River of Forgetfulness, but there was a fish species called the white spiritual fish that was extremely rare. Chapter 12:11. Many people were catching white spirit fish on a flat riverbank in the Whitefish River. These people were in ragged clothes, sallow and emaciated. Although they were still alive, they didn't look energetic at all. A 7- or 8-year-old girl was searching for white spirit fish in the water with a harpoon. Suddenly, a figure was washed over by the water. "Ah!" Yi screamed when she saw Tang Ao being washed up on the riverbank. There were countless gyroscopic devil fish in the Whitefish River, and people who fell into the water must die miserably. Yi hadn't been here for a long time, but she had seen many people die miserably after falling into the Whitefish River. Ye's scream attracted the attention of a bare-chested man and other people. The bare-chested man stared at her, and then he suddenly lashed the whip in his hand at Ye's back. Ye's back was immediately cut open, and blood slowly seeped out of her thin clothes. Although tears were rolling in her eyes, Yi didn't dare to cry out. The supervisor had a strange temper. The louder he screamed, the more miserable he would be beaten. Slaves like her were not treated well here at all. After the bald supervisor lashed at Yi, he also saw Tang Ao, who was washed to the riverbank by the current. Although Tang Ao's breath was very weak, the bald supervisor could still feel that Tang Ao was still alive. However, Tang Ao was still intact after falling into the Whitefish River. Therefore, it was easy to guess that Tang Ao had some protective treasures with him. Immediately, the bald supervisor swung the whip in his hand and was about to whip Tang Ao. Seeing this, Yi said in a low voice, "Sir, this person seems to be injured." Puff. The sound of flesh being torn came from Ye's back again. Yi was in so much pain that she was about to cry. However, because she knew the bald supervisor's temper, Yi had to hold back her tears. After the bald supervisor glared at Yi fiercely, he raised the whip in his hand and lashed it at Tang Ao. However, his whip did not hit Tang Ao directly. Just as the whip in his hand was about to hit Tang Ao, a golden light suddenly appeared on the surface of Tang Ao's body, forming a thin layer of armor on the surface of Tang Ao's body. Gotcha! After fending off the bald supervisor's ferocious whip, Tang Ao's battle sage bone life soul automatically returned to Tang Ao's body. Under the attack of the bald supervisor's whip, the drowsy Tang Ao woke up. Dun opened his eyes and found himself in a very strange place. Tang Ao remembered that not long ago, he, Shangguan Fei and the others had dealt with the three-tailed blood civet on the pleasure boat. After injuring the three-tailed blood civet, Shangguan Fei and Tai Longqing had suddenly attacked him and Murong Xian. At that time, he had been thrown into the river of forgetfulness by Shangguan Fei. After falling into the river, Tang Ao remembered that Qiu Yun had rescued Murong Xian and Yu Er, while he had been swept into the river by an undercurrent. When he regained consciousness, he had already arrived at this place. What's going on? Why is it so noisy here? At this moment, a middle-aged man wearing a dark purple robe walked over. He was twirling 2 beads in his hand. This man also had no hair on his head, but his eyes were as sharp as an eagle's, giving off a feeling that he was showing off his abilities. The most special thing about him was that his eyebrows were very long. His 2 eyebrows were withered white and hung down his cheeks like hair. Chapter 12:12. Whether it was in the black-yellow continent or the ice and snow plains, warriors at the 9th level of the body refining realm were a dime a dozen. No one would find it strange. However, this place was different. In the Flying Star continent there was no spiritual qi at all. In the entire world, there was only one kind of vitality that was 100 times weaker than spiritual qi that could be used by warriors to cultivate. Because the strength of Yuan Qi itself was 100 times weaker than Spirit Qi, the speed of using Yuan Qi to cultivate was also 100 times slower than using Spirit Qi to cultivate. Even so, the white-browed middle-aged man in front of them had cultivated to the peak of the 9th level of the body refining realm. This was enough to show how terrifying the white-browed middle-aged man's talent was. Mr. White, there was a guy who rushed out of the Whitefish River just now. He looked half dead, so I came to take a look. The bald man was extremely arrogant in front of the laborers, but in front of Mr. White, he was as docile as a kitten and obedient as a puppy. After saying this, the bald man seemed to think of something again, so he continued, "By the way, Mr. White, this guy is also a warrior who has awakened his life soul. He should be used to feed the fish." After hearing that Tang Ao was a warrior who had awakened his life soul, Mr. White immediately became interested. After glancing at Tang Ao, Mr. White asked calmly, "What level of life soul did you awaken?" "The 3rd level." Tang Ao felt very helpless. The life souls he had awakened for the first time were from the 7th level. After awakening the 9 Dragons Emperor's jade body, all the life souls he awakened had been upgraded. Now, in Tang Ao's body, even the weakest 100 battle spear soul was already at the 21st level. However, Tang Ao knew that even if he broke the sky, these people would not believe that he had awakened the 21st level of life soul. Moreover, Tang Ao would not say it. Although he had not died in the hands of Shangguan Fei, the white-browed middle-aged man in front of him was obviously not a good person. Moreover, Tang Ao was very weak now. He could not even deal with the shirtless bald man, let alone the white-browed middle-aged man who was at the 9th level of the body refining realm. Only the 3rd heaven. A look of disappointment flashed in by Wu You's eyes. However, he still said, "After all, he is a cultivator who has awakened his life spirit. Let's not kill him for now. Send him to the caves to feed the fish." After saying that, Bai Wuyo no longer paid any attention to Tang Ao. With the 2 silver pearls in his hand, he leisurely walked off into the distance. After Bai Wuyo left, the brawny bald man roared, "You curs don't want to live anymore, hurry up and get to work." Even though he said that, his hands didn't stop moving. Each of the 2 slaves nearest to him received a blow from him. Seeing this, everyone didn't dare to slack off. They all began to walk along the White Fish River, searching for the white spirit fish in the river. Everyone here had to hand in a white spirit fish every day. If they didn't hand in their white spirit fish on the same day, they wouldn't be able to eat that day. If they didn't hand in their white spirit fish for 3 consecutive days, they would be thrown into the White Fish River. The White Fish River had ferocious demon fish. Once thrown into the White Fish River, one would be bitten to death by the demon fish. The outcome was extremely miserable. Chapter 12-13. Previously, Tang Ao had borrowed a bottle of mid-grade vitality, nurturing pills from Murong Xian, and Tang Ao had coincidentally placed it in this storage ring. There was also the blood qi essence that Tang Ao had obtained not long ago, which had also been conveniently stored in this storage ring by Tang Ao. Now that the storage ring had been snatched away by this bald man, Tang Ao secretly cursed himself for being careless. At the same time, Tang Ao had also planted a psyche imprint on this bald man. These 2 items, especially the blood qi essence, were extremely important to Tang Ao. Once Tang Ao's injuries had slightly recovered, Tang Ao would still have to look for this bald man to retrieve his storage ring. Just as the bald man was carrying Tang Ao down a tunnel entrance, a pale-faced youth walked over. When he saw Tang Ao in the bald man's hands, the white-robed youth smiled and said, "Big brother Ding Kuei, are you here to deliver fish food again? Why is there only one person this time?" Ding Kuei threw Tang Ao to the ground and said, "Wang Yunfeng, look at your current state. Sooner or later, you will die in the hands of a woman in this cave." The yin qi on Wang Yunfeng's body was stronger than the yang qi, and the surrounding qi was extremely mottled. Although his cultivation had increased significantly, his essence qi had also been depleted. Ding Kuei didn't need to ask to know that Wang Yunfeng must have been living the life of an immortal groom in the cave every night. So noisy. Even Bai Wuyo's dog dares to bark at the entrance of the cave? Just as Ding Kuei was about to exchange some pleasantries with Wang Yunfeng, a beautiful woman wearing a rainbow-colored feather dress flew out like a fairy. Before she even arrived, Tang Ao could already smell an intoxicating fragrance. This fragrance was extremely unique. Just by smelling it, the silhouettes of countless women appeared in front of Tang Ao's eyes. Moreover, the strangest thing was that these women were all figures that Tang Ao knew. When he saw a few of them, Tang Ao could not help but feel a pain in his heart. Tang Ao saw La Kale, whom he had not seen for a very, very long time. Tang Ao recalled the various experiences he had with La Kale in the 7 Kills sect. The 7 Slaughter Divine Dao martial technique that Tang Ao frequently used now was also given to Tang Ao by La Kale. However, during his trip to the Netherworld Emperor's mystic realm, Tang Ao didn't even manage to catch a glimpse of La Kale. La Kale had already disappeared. In addition to La Kale, Tang Ao also saw Anruosu, whom he had been in love with for 2 lifetimes. Anruosu was still as cold as ever. She was serious in speech and manner, and she was always contributing silently behind the scenes. In his previous life, Tang Ao had owed Anruosu. He had not expected that in this life, just as Tang Ao and Anruosu had met, Anruosu would also disappear into the Netherworld Sea. According to the Netherworld Emperor, there were spatial passageways in the Netherworld Sea that connected to other realms. Anruosu had merely been sucked away by one of those spatial passageways. However, the myriad realms were vast. Even the Netherworld Emperor did not know where that spatial passageway corresponded to. With Tang Ao's meager cultivation, how could he possibly find Anruosu? At this thought, Tang Ao became even more dispirited. In that instant, Tang Ao seemed to have lost all strength to move forward. So what if he was an unparalleled demon lord? He couldn't even protect the person he loved. So what if he was the #1 genius of the 7 Kills sect? Now, he had fallen to such a state. Chapter 12:14. In Tang Ao's body, Tang Ao's already collapsed spiritual sea and soul sea were also on the verge of collapse, looking like they were about to fall apart. At this time, if someone wanted to kill Tang Ao, even if it was an ordinary person, Tang Ao would not be able to escape death. Just when Tang Ao's heart was filled with countless doubts, Tang Ao suddenly saw another figure. This time, Tang Ao saw Chu Xuehan. Even in such a state, Chu Xuehan was still smiling very sweetly in Tang Ao's eyes. Her sweet smile seemed to make the world lose its color. At this moment, the entire world seemed to be a foil to her beauty. Not only was Chu Xuehan smiling, but she also raised her slender jade-like hands and took off her dress. Tang Ao's mind was rippling, and his eyes became increasingly dim. Tang Ao's mouth suddenly had a trace of a smile. At this time, he wanted to hug Chu Xuehan again, but Tang Ao felt that his body did not have a trace of strength. Chu Xuehan seemed to know Tang Ao's thoughts, and actually walked towards Tang Ao leisurely. Tang Ao also very happily extended his hand, but when Tang Ao touched Chu Xuehan's hand, Chu Xuehan's gentle and beautiful expression suddenly changed. This time, the person who appeared in Tang Ao's eyes was still Chu Xuehan. At this moment, Chu Xuehan was lying in a huge room, and beside Chu Xuehan was a handsome young man. This young man looked at Chu Xuehan with a very worried gaze, and beside the young man, there was a group of doctors. Although he did not know what had happened, Tang Ao could also see that Chu Xuehan's condition was very bad. Seeing Chu Xuehan's haggard appearance, Tang Ao could not help but reach out to touch Chu Xuehan's face. But before Tang Ao's hand could touch Chu Xuehan's body suddenly burst out with a golden flame, burning Tang Ao's hand. Before Tang Ao could come back to his senses, this flickering golden flame had already appeared in Tang Ao's eyes. As the wisp of flame danced, a black mist slowly exuded from Tang Ao's body. As the mist was forced out, Tang Ao's eyes gradually became clear. Not long after, Tang Ao's eyes became clear again. Tang Ao looked around. At this moment, he was no longer in the valley. At this moment, Tang Ao was in a dark and damp cave. The light in this crypt was very weak, and only a dim candle lit up this space. With the help of the weak candlelight, Tang Ao could see that there were many people in the crypt. Moreover, these people had a special characteristic. They were all warriors, and their bodies were very weak. As Tang Ao was looking around, a skinny old man said to Tang Ao, "Hey, newcomer, how did you offend the dragon prison castle, to be captured and brought to this damned place?" Tang Ao looked in the direction of the voice and saw an old man who was only as tall as his waist. This old man looked extremely miserable. Both of his legs had been cut off. At this moment, he was kneeling on the ground, leaning against the wall as he spoke to Tang Ao. Although this old man looked very miserable, Tang Ao did not dare to underestimate this old man. Although he looked very miserable, this old man's aura was very strong among so many warriors here. Chapter 12:15. Tang Ao didn't recognize any of these people, so Tang Ao obviously couldn't tell them the truth. Thus, he could only speak half-truth. However, after Tang Ao finished speaking, Shimin Shao laughed out loud. "You're still wet behind the ears, kid, yet you still dare to trick this old man?" A powerless ant that fell into the forgetting river was able to wake up from the illusion flower poison in less than an incense's time. "Are you joking with this old man?" Hearing Shimin Shao say this, Tang Ao thought of the illusion he had just experienced. Clearly, the scene just now was caused by him being poisoned by the illusion flower poison. Tang Ao scanned with his soul remembrance, and found that the surrounding rock walls had a small black flower growing on them. Because this place was too dark, if one didn't look carefully, they wouldn't be able to see the existence of these small flowers. After Tang Ao carefully scanned with his soul remembrance, Tang Ao shockingly found that almost every place in this cave had these small flowers. The reason the surrounding martial artists were sitting cross-legged on the ground with serious expressions was also to resist the flower's poison. Tang Ao sensed for a moment, and found that the flower's poison was constantly corroding his body. After this poison gathered in his body, the small amount of yuan qi in his body was constantly being consumed by the poison. As his yuan qi flowed, the poison entered his body at a slower rate. Tang Ao immediately understood that this poison was very specific. The stronger a martial artist's cultivation was, the stronger the poison's attack would be. The weaker a martial artist's cultivation was, the weaker the poison's effect would be. Just as Tang Ao had this thought, Tang Ao suddenly felt his head go dizzy again, and a few blurry figures appeared in front of him. With the previous experience, Tang Ao immediately gathered the remaining yuan qi in his body and started a circulatory cycle. As Tang Ao began to cultivate, threads of almost non-existent yuan qi were absorbed and refined by Tang Ao. Finally, this refined yuan qi was counteracted by the flower poison, turning into nothingness. Tang Ao's eyes turned solemn. This place was really a cruel prison for martial artists. Because this cave was densely covered with these black illusion flowers, cultivators had to cultivate at all times in order to resist the illusion flower poison. However, after painstakingly absorbing and refining some yuan qi, it would be corroded by the illusion flower poison in his body. In this way, if the martial artists in this place wanted to live, they would have to cultivate frequently. Some martial artists with poor talent might even need to cultivate non-stop to survive. Seeing Tang Ao's changing expression, Shimin Xiao knew that Tang Ao most likely understood the mystery of this place. Shimin Xiao originally wanted to give some pointers to Tang Ao, but now it seemed that there was no need for that. "Brat, you're dishonest. Now that you understand the mysteries of the crypt, you can leave." Saying that, Shimin Xiao closed his eyes. After hesitating for a moment, Shimin Xiao said, "If you are willing to tell the truth, this old man can let you stay in Shimin clan's territory." Clearly, Shimin Xiao was very interested in how Tang Ao had broken free from the illusion flower poison in the time it took for an incense stick to burn. Chapter 12-16. Tang Ao hadn't been in the Flying Star continent for long, so he didn't know much about the factions on the continent. Back on Murong Xian's boat, Tang Ao had heard Yuer talk about it. Tang Ao remembered that the Flying Star continent seemed to have 3 great families and 7 factions. However, Yuer was probably too young, so she could only give a rough description. Although Yuer did not clearly say which 7 forces were the 7 forces, Tang Ao secretly guessed that this dragon prison castle might also be one of the 7 forces. As he thought about it, Tang Ao walked through the tunnel. After leaving the Shimin clan's base, Tang Ao immediately discovered that the surrounding spirit energy was much thinner. Even after leaving the Shimin clan's base, Tang Ao discovered that the surrounding spirit energy was almost completely gone. Tang Ao's expression was somewhat serious. The surrounding spirit energy was gone, but the illusion flowers were everywhere in this cave. If he couldn't continuously absorb the spirit energy to defend against the illusion flower poison, Tang Ao would soon fall into hallucinations due to the accumulation of the poison in his body. No, he had to find a place with abundant spirit energy as soon as possible. Otherwise, even surviving in this cave would be a problem, let alone healing. Moreover, before coming here, the supervisor called Ding Kuei seemed to have said that the martial artists imprisoned here were fish food. Tang Ao still didn't really understand this sentence, but Tang Ao knew that it wasn't something good. Tang Ao scanned his body with his soul remembrance, and immediately discovered that the illusion flower poison was accumulating more and more. Tang Ao didn't dare to hesitate anymore. He immediately stopped and carefully sensed the surrounding spirit energy. Soon after, Tang Ao decided on a direction and ran in that direction. This illusion flower poison would continuously accumulate in a martial artist's body when there was no spirit energy to counteract it. As long as the illusion flower poison accumulated to a certain level, it would produce a hallucinogenic effect. This was the first time that Tang Ao was able to walk out of the hallucinogenic effect, and it was because of the mysterious golden flame on Chu Shuahan's body. Although Tang Ao didn't know what this had to do with Chu Shuahan. However, at that time, Tang Ao clearly felt that a wisp of golden flame had flown into his body. Although Tang Ao wasn't slow, Tang Ao was already feeling a little dizzy. The potency of the illusory flower poison far exceeded Tang Ao's imagination. Moreover, the surrounding yuan qi was thin to a degree that Tang Ao had not expected. After sprinting for a distance, Tang Ao's footsteps staggered a little. Fortunately, Tang Ao had already arrived at a space with slightly denser heaven-earth yuan qi. However, just as Tang Ao sat down and prepared to absorb and refine the surrounding yuan qi to resist the illusion flower poison, a cold voice entered Tang Ao's ears. "This is Battle Axe's territory, Scram." After this voice finished speaking, a powerful aura suppressed Tang Ao. At this time, Tang Ao naturally didn't want to fight this martial artist head-on. Thus, Tang Ao's figure flashed and he ran in another direction. In Tang Ao's perception, this region seemed to be a gathering place for martial artists. In this region, there were many places with denser heaven-earth yuan qi. Compared to the Shiman family's territory not long ago, the heaven-earth yuan qi wasn't much inferior. Thus, Tang Ao didn't take long before he arrived at another place. Chapter 12-17. Don't you have a place to go? Just as Tang Ao didn't know where to go, a crisp voice came from behind Tang Ao. Tang Ao turned around and saw a dirty little girl. Although the little girl was dirty, her big eyes were very bright. After cleaning herself a little, Tang Ao felt that she must be a cute child. Although Tang Ao didn't know why this little girl would look for him, Tang Ao still nodded. "I still haven't found a place to stay." Before Tang Ao finished speaking, the little girl asked, "Then, are you willing to go to our Qin Yun's camp?" Tang Ao didn't know what Qin Yun was, but Tang Ao thought that it should be a force where the martial artists here gathered. Therefore, Tang Ao nodded. "Is that place far from here?" Hearing Tang Ao's question, the little girl nodded. Tang Ao couldn't help but smile bitterly. With his current situation, he probably wouldn't be able to last until he reached Qin Yun's camp. "Come with me." The little girl seemed to know Tang Ao's predicament, so she pulled Tang Ao and ran in a direction. Tang Ao had no other choice but to grit his teeth and run with the little girl to Qin Yun's camp. However, no matter how strong Tang Ao's willpower was, the fantasy flower poison that had accumulated in his body had reached a limit. Just as Tang Ao felt the world spin and countless scenes flashed before his eyes, the little girl suddenly stuffed something into Tang Ao's hand. Tang Ao looked down and found that it was a low-grade essence cultivating pill in his hand. In other places, although essence cultivating pills were precious, low-grade essence cultivating pills were not very precious. However, in this cave, because of the fantasy flower, even a low-grade essence cultivating pill, or even half a low-grade essence cultivating pill, could save one's life. Tang Ao didn't dare to hesitate. After consuming the essence cultivating pill, Tang Ao sat cross-legged and began to regulate his breathing. Traces of warm yuan qi flowed into Tang Ao's almost dried-up meridians. With the nourishment of yuan qi, Tang Ao's meridians were once again filled with vitality. However, this yuan qi didn't stay in Tang Ao's body for too long. As Tang Ao continued his spiritual circulation, the yuan qi slowly counteracted the fantasy flower poison. After the time it took for a joss stick to burn, Tang Ao's yuan qi was once again exhausted. As for the fantasy flower poison in Tang Ao's body, it was almost neutralized. Tang Ao slowly exhaled a mouthful of turbid air and thanked the little girl. "Thank you, little sister. Now, bring me to Qin Yun." Tang Ao smiled warmly and asked, "I am Tang Ao, what is little sister's name?" "I am Xiao Yu, let's go." Although Xiao Yu had taken out the essence cultivating pill to save Tang Ao, Xiao Yu still seemed to be on guard against Tang Ao. Tang Ao could understand this. A child who grew up in a place like this, if he wasn't on guard, he would have long been eaten by others. If it wasn't for the fact that he couldn't hold on, Tang Ao felt that Xiao Yu wouldn't have taken out the low-grade essence cultivating pill. However, Tang Ao didn't blame Xiao Yu at all. He and Xiao Yu didn't have any relationship to begin with. In a time of crisis, Xiao Yu had taken out half a essence cultivating pill to save him. This was already a great kindness. Is this the prison of Dragon Prison Castle? Along the way, Tang Ao asked Xiao Yu. Chapter 12-18. Previously, Xiao Yu said that Qin Yun's encampment was a bit far from here, but Tang Ao did not pay much attention to it. In Tang Ao's opinion, it should be because Xiao Yu was still a child, which was why she felt that Qin Yun's encampment was very far from here. But after walking for an hour with Xiao Yu, Tang Ao still had not reached Qin Yun's encampment. Tang Ao frowned slightly, then smiled and asked Xiao Yu, how far is Qin Yun's encampment from here? Xiao Yu tilted her head and thought for a moment, then said to Tang Ao, we have walked about a third of the way. Along the way, Xiao Yu did not speak much, but she gradually became familiar with Tang Ao. It was just that Xiao Yu still had some grudges against strangers, so Tang Ao did not manage to find out much useful information. Now, Tang Ao's understanding of this place was that this crypt belonged to a top power called the Dragon Prison Castle. And the Dragon Prison Castle was the most mysterious of the 7 powers. These martial artists were imprisoned in this crypt by the Dragon Prison Castle for a total of 2 things. The first was to help the Dragon Prison Castle gather resources in a dangerous place called Evergreen Valley, and the second was to let out blood. When Tang Ao first heard about letting out blood, he had some doubt. But after knowing that it was to let out blood, Tang Ao's expression became serious. For you. Xiao Yu's small hand felt around in her pocket, and took out a small jade bottle that was full of cracks. The small jade bottle contained some small fragments of low-grade essence cultivating pills. Because the Heaven-Earth Yuan Qi was very sparse along the way, there were even some places where there was no Heaven-Earth Yuan Qi at all, so Xiao Yu would take out the small jade bottle from time to time and let Tang Ao and herself consume the essence-cultivating pills. Because Tang Ao was the disciple of the Shennong Emperor, Tang Ao did not have deep feelings towards low-grade pills. Tang Ao treasured those high-grade pills and immortal pills with mysterious effect. But now, as Tang Ao looked at the small half of the low-grade essence nourishing pill in his hand, his emotions were very complicated. Tang Ao looked at the pill in his hand and used a little force to break the pill into 2 halves. Tang Ao once again handed half of the pills to Xiao Yu. Xiao Yu, take this pill too. Don't eat the dregs. Although Xiao Yu didn't talk to Tang Ao could still feel the kindness in this child's heart. Every time, she would give a complete half of the elixir to Tang Ao, and she would only take some fragments. The vitality-nourishing pill in Xiao Yu's hand was not of a high grade. Such a pill could be said to have no medicinal effect at all. On the other hand, due to the uneven condensation of the solution during the refining process, the toxicity of such a fragmented pill was not small. Xiao Yu's large eyes looked at Tang Ao. Seeing Tang Ao's clear eyes, Xiao Yu extended her small hand and took the pill from Tang Ao's hand. Seeing the cracked old jade bottle in Xiao Yu's hand, Tang Ao felt a wave of pity in his heart. With a thought, Tang Ao took out a small jade bottle made of high-grade skywater jade from the Primal Chaos 6 light mirror space and handed it to Xiao Yu. Xiao Yu, I don't have any gifts, so I'll give this jade bottle to you. In the future, you can use this jade bottle to store pills. This jade bottle was made by Tang Ao himself. After the pills were stored in it, the medicinal effects would not be lost. This kind of jade bottle was usually used to store some relatively precious pills. However, Tang Ao was a 6th grade refining master, so Tang Ao didn't care too much about it. Chapter 12-19. Big Brother Tang Ao, why did you come to this place? After interacting with Tang Ao, Xiao Yu slowly let down her guard. Children of this age were naturally curious about the world. It was just that the underground cave was too cruel, causing Xiao Yu to become so sensitive and wary of strangers. I accidentally fell into the river of forgetfulness and was dragged into an underground river by the undercurrent of the river of forgetfulness. When I woke up, I was already here. Tang Ao didn't explain it too complicated and just gave a simple explanation. If Tang Ao had the ability to protect himself, Tang Ao naturally wouldn't mind telling Xiao Yu how he came to this place. However, right now, Tang Ao's internal energy was almost non-existent. Not to mention protecting himself, even resisting the illusion flower poison was extremely difficult. How would Tang Ao dare to tell her how he came to this place? It wasn't that Tang Ao didn't trust Xiao Yu, but because Xiao Yu was still too young. Although she was considered very intelligent among children of her age, if someone deliberately wanted to pry information out of her, Xiao Yu would definitely not be able to keep it a secret. In reality, Tang Ao's worries were not without reason. At this moment, there were many warships on the River of Forgetfulness where Murong Xian's pleasure boat was destroyed by the lightning array. From time to time, there would be martial artists jumping into the River of Forgetfulness, but not long after, they would swim back up. After taking a breather, these people would dive back into the River of Forgetfulness, as if they were searching for something. In the middle of these warships there was a huge treasured ship. There was a group of people standing on the deck of the treasured ship. The one in the lead was a very beautiful woman. Her clothes were very thin and could not cover her sexy figure at all. However, the people behind her did not dare to look at her. Even if they wanted to feast their eyes on her, they only dared to glance at her from the corner of their eyes. This woman was multiple chain dock master Lu Tianba's beloved daughter, Lu Rian. In Lu Rian's arms lay a very docile-looking cat. This cat's entire body was like fire, and it looked at the young man who was tied up in front of Lu Rian with an unfriendly gaze. Shangguan Fei, how dare you? You even dare to have designs on my beloved pet? Lu Rian said as she looked at Shangguan Fei with a smile on her face. The person tied up in front of Lu Rian was none other than Shangguan Fei. Although Shangguan Fei was being held by Lu Rian, he didn't seem to realize that he was a prisoner at all. His eyes were constantly sizing up Lu Rian, and the corners of his mouth were curled up in a devilish smile. Miss Lu must be joking. My courage is not limited to this. Although he was tied up and surrounded by 4 experts, Shangguan Fei did not seem to know what fear was, and he still had a cheeky smile on his face. It was as if the Lu Rian in front of him wasn't the vicious and merciless demoness in the rumors, but the daughter of a noble family. Reporting to Miss, we found an underground river under the river. We have searched this area 3 times, but we did not find any blood essence. So, we guessed that the blood essence might have been swept away by the underground river. At this moment, Tang Ao was still in the crypt. Therefore, Tang Ao naturally did not know that the underground river he had escaped to had already been discovered by others. At this time, Tang Ao was still following Yuer through the crypt. The pills in Xiao Yu's small jade bottle had already been used up by the 2 of them. Fortunately, according to Xiao Yu, it wouldn't be long before they reached Qin Yun's encampment. Chapter 12-20. After walking for a while, Xiao Yu wanted to continue walking forward, but Tang Ao pulled Xiao Yu back. The instant Tang Ao pulled Xiao Yu back, a feathered arrow flew into the place Xiao Yu had just been standing. Tang Ao instantly swept out with his sole remembrance and discovered that the troublemakers were 3 body refining realm 1st stage martial artists. Their target was evidently Xiao Yu. Seeing these three people, Xiao Yu's gaze was somewhat grave. Tang Ao was rather interested in these three people. Although Tang Ao's strength was greatly reduced, Tang Ao had long since discovered that these three fellows were following him and Xiao Yu. However, these three people seemed to have some special method that completely concealed their auras. Therefore, although Xiao Yu occasionally used her soul remembrance to scan the surroundings, she didn't discover the existence of these three fellows. Not only Xiao Yu, but even when Tang Ao had used his soul remembrance to scan the surroundings, he hadn't discovered these three people. It was just that Tang Ao was too sensitive and faintly felt that someone was following them. After using his heavenly extreme pupils, he discovered these three fellows. Hand over all the yuan cultivating pills on you and I'll let you pass. Otherwise, you'll die here. The person at the front was a middle-aged man with disheveled hair. He held a bamboo flute in his hands. Although this bamboo flute looked very normal, it had a feeling of vicissitude. If it was just based on cultivation, Xiao Yu, who was at the second level of the body refining realm, clearly had a slight advantage. It was just that this time there were three opponents. Although all three of them were only at the first level of the body refining realm, they had the advantage in numbers. As the saying goes, 2 fists can't fight 4 hands. In a situation where one's strength couldn't suppress the opponent, numbers were extremely terrifying. Why should we give our yuan cultivating pills to you? Tang Ao was just thinking about how to deal with this situation when he almost choked on Xiao Yu's word. In Tang Ao's opinion, even if Xiao Yu said she didn't have any yuan cultivating pills, it would still be better than saying this. Moreover, Xiao Yu didn't seem to have any yuan cultivating pills on her, yet Xiao Yu said this. Since it's like this, we can only attack. After the middle-aged man with the bamboo flute finished speaking, he took a step forward and rushed towards Tang Ao. At the same time, a martial artist with 2 blades and another martial artist with a bow and arrow also rushed towards Xiao Yu. Although Xiao Yu was at the second level of the body refining realm, she was still entangled by the 2 of them and could not escape. Although Xiao Yu had body refining realm's second stage cultivation, she couldn't escape from those 2. Tang Ao had lived 2 lives, and this period of time was the most sullen for Tang Ao. He was a dignified life and death expert, but now he was being taught a lesson by a body refining realm ant. If he hadn't personally experienced this, Tang Ao wouldn't have believed it. Take this. While Tang Ao was thinking, the bamboo flute in the hand of the green-robed middle-aged man swept towards Tang Ao's neck. Take this. As Tang Ao was thinking, the bamboo flute in the hands of the green-clothed middle-aged man swept towards Tang Ao's neck. In Tang Ao's opinion, it shouldn't be a problem to shatter this bamboo flute. But what Tang Ao didn't expect was that when Tang Ao slashed at the bamboo flute, it was as if Tang Ao's palm had cut a steel plate. It actually made a metallic sound. Tang Ao was slightly stunned and immediately wanted to grab the bamboo flute. Although Tang Ao hadn't discovered the mysteries of this bamboo flute gave Tang Ao a threatening feeling. Tang Ao was slightly stunned and immediately wanted to grab this bamboo flute. Although Tang Ao hadn't discovered the mysteries of this bamboo flute gave Tang Ao a threatening feeling. Chapter 12:21. Tang Ao was astonished by Lin Dongnan's martial technique. Lin Dongnan was equally astonished by Tang Ao. Although Lin Dongnan was only at the first level of the body refining realm, at his peak, he was also an expert at the 9th level of the body refining realm. Under Lin Dongnan's perception, Tang Ao's aura was extremely weak. However, Tang Ao's martial technique was not as weak as it looked. When Lin Dongnan's sweeping kick came, Tang Ao did not even look and leaped into the air. At the same time, his leg whipped towards Lin Dongnan's chest. Lin Dongnan similarly did not show weakness and adopted a head-on stance. When Tang Ao's attack came, Lin Dongnan held the bamboo flute with both hands and used it to block Tang Ao's fierce and domineering kick. After Lin Dongnan took a deep breath, he gathered enough energy and pushed with both hands. Tang Ao felt the bamboo flute vibrate, and then an extremely terrifying force came crashing down on him. Tang Ao hurriedly retreated in mid-air and fiercely kicked the wall of the cave. Only then did this terrifying force dissipate. Although Lin Dongnan's cultivation was still at the first level of the body refining realm, Tang Ao knew that the attack just now was definitely not something a martial artist at the first level of the body refining realm could produce. "Not bad, kid. Let's spar again." As he said this, Lin Dongnan had already taken a step forward. Immediately after, he spread his wings and flew up like a rock. The bamboo flute in his hand pointed to the ground, and a sharp and violent light shot out from the bamboo flute. Feeling the terrifying aura of this light, Tang Ao did not dare to touch it. His body hurriedly dodged to the side. Pung pung pung. After Tang Ao dodged it, the ground where Tang Ao had been standing was filled with holes from the green light spat out by the bamboo flute. Although he had dodged all of Lin Dongnan's attacks, Tang Ao was still panting heavily. And at this moment, Tang Ao discovered that this Lin Dongnan was not at the first level of the body refining realm. He was actually an expert at the 6th level of the body refining realm. And from his proficient martial techniques, even the 6th level of the body refining realm was not his true strength. Although he had revealed the aura of the 6th level of the body refining realm, he was still using the 1st level of the body refining realm to compete with Tang Ao. This made Tang Ao speechless. It turned out that his brother was using him as a sparring partner. At this moment, this was indeed what Lin Dongnan was thinking. But in Lin Dongnan's mind, it was not Tang Ao sparring with him, but he was supporting Tang Ao and giving him pointers. If Lin Dongnan knew that the Tang Ao in front of him was once a life and death realm expert, Lin Dongnan would definitely be able to boast about this battle for the rest of his life. While Lin Dongnan and Tang Ao were fighting, Xiaoyu and the other two were also fighting intensely. But the three of them were fighting intensely, and they did not go all out. At this moment, if Tang Ao could not see that Lin Dongnan and the other two were not robbers, then Tang Ao would have lived for nothing. Tang Ao used his skypole eyes to scan the area and discovered that many martial artists had unknowingly arrived. But these martial artists were the same as Lin Dongnan and the other two. They all had the ability to conceal their own aura. That was why Tang Ao did not notice their arrival. After another attack, Tang Ao immediately jumped out of the battle. Then, Tang Ao cupped his fists and said to the surrounding people, "Are you all friends of Qin Yun? I am Tang Ao, greetings." Lin Dongnan originally wanted to exchange a few blows with Tang Ao. But seeing that Tang Ao had seen through their true identities, Lin Dongnan could not help but smile and said, "I am called Lin Dongnan. Little brother Tang Ao is right. This is the Qin Yun alliance. The reason why I am doing this is to test brother Tang Ao's character and ability. I want to see if brother Tang Ao is suitable to join Qin Yun. I hope brother Tang Ao does not take offense." Chapter 12:22. Moreover, the cultivation levels of these people were uneven. The one with the highest cultivation level was an icy beauty walking towards him. Although she looked very pretty, her face seemed to be covered by a layer of 10,000 years of ice. Tang Ao even had doubts in his heart. Could this woman even smile? Moreover, she was not only cold, but her cultivation level was also very terrifying. Although she was not old, her cultivation level was already at the 9th tier of the body refining realm. Tang Ao found it very hard to imagine why such a person would be captured by a power like the Dragon Prison Castle. Moreover, in Tang Ao's understanding, in a place like the Flying Star Continent, the 9th tier of the body refining realm was already in existence at the peak. As an expert at the 9th tier of the body refining realm, Why would this icy beauty in front of him come to such a place? You are called Tang-Ao, right? I am called Cold Moon. Welcome to Qing Yun. There are a total of 18 alliances in the dragon-subduing cave. Among these 18 alliances, Qing Yun is considered relatively weak. Although Qing Yun is very weak, since you have decided to join Qing Yun, you will have to work hard for Qing Yun in the future. Right now, you have one last chance to choose whether or not you want to join Qing Yun. Tang-Ao was indifferent and speechless. It was precisely because Tang-Ao had no choice that he would join Qing Yun, who did not know anything. Now Cold Moon was asking him whether or not he was willing to join Qing Yun. But at first glance, Qing Yun was not bad. Although Cold Moon was a little cold, Tang-Ao felt that this woman did not have any evil intentions. It was just her personality. And towards Qing Yun's Lin Dongnan, Tang-Ao's impression was very good. Out of all the body-refining realm martial artists that Tang-Ao had seen before, Lin Dongnan's martial techniques were at least in the top 3. Little brother Tang-Ao, from now on, we're on the same side. When you have time, you should try to guess the wrong martial skills with me. After Tang-Ao joined Qing Yun, Lin Dongnan's attitude towards Tang-Ao became much better. Although Lin Dongnan was also trapped in the hidden dragon cave, Lin Dongnan had a natural pride in his bones. If it was someone he didn't like, then even if the dragon prison castle lord was standing in front of Lin Dongnan wouldn't even bat an eyelid. However, if Lin Dongnan found someone pleasing to the eye, even if it was a small character, Lin Dongnan would still chat with them. In the rumors of the outside world, Lin Dongnan was assassinated because of this Starlight Pavilion. But no one knew that Lin Dongnan was still alive. He was just trapped in the hidden dragon cave by the dragon prison castle. Take this. This is a gift for newbies. Only the first time. In the future, no matter what you want, you have to fight for it yourself. If there's anything you don't understand, you can ask the brothers and sisters in Qing Yun. These words were originally kind words of advice, but when Cold Moon said it coldly, it made people feel a little strange. Fortunately, Tang-Ao was not very particular about these things. Therefore, Tang-Ao cupped his fists towards Cold Moon to express his gratitude. At this moment, Tang-Ao was very grateful to Cold Moon. This was because in the package that Cold Moon threw to him, there was a bottle of mid-grade vitality cultivating pills. Although there were only 3 pills, this was something that Tang-Ao urgently needed. Alright, now follow me to Qing Yun's encampment, Cold Moon said and took the lead to walk forward. The rest of Qing Yun's allies also walked together in 2s or 3s. At this time, Xiao Yu also came to Tang-Ao's side. Big brother Tang-Ao. Tang-Ao knew what Xiao Yu wanted to say, so he smiled at Xiao Yu. Although Xiao Yu concealed the identity of Lin Dongnan and the other 2, Tang-Ao could understand this matter. Chapter 12:23. Perhaps understanding Tang-Ao's thoughts, a blue-clothed young man next to Tang-Ao smiled bitterly and said, "The environment here is indeed quite good, but it's close to the Evergreen Valley. It can be counted as one of the most dangerous places in the Hidden Dragon Cave. In the Hidden Dragon Cave, there are a total of 18 powers. Our Qing Yun is in existence at the bottom. In addition, our encampment is in such a dangerous place, so very few people are willing to join Qing Yun." What kind of place is the Evergreen Valley? Tang-Ao truly didn't know anything about the Hidden Dragon Cave. Those of us who are imprisoned in the Hidden Dragon Cave must do 2 things if we want to live and obtain origin cultivation pills. First, on the first day of every month, we must force out a drop of our own essence blood and hand it over. Second, we must enter the Evergreen Valley every month to search for a certain amount of treasures. Even those at the peak of the 9th level of the body refinement realm aren't absolutely safe in the Evergreen Valley. There are countless treasures in the Evergreen Valley, but at the same time, there are countless fatal dangers. Hearing that they had to enter the Evergreen Valley to search for treasures and hand them over, Tang Ao immediately asked, "Are there no cultivators who hide the treasures they find in the Evergreen Valley?" Chu Feng was taken aback by Tang Ao's question, but shortly after, he still smiled and said, "There are quite a few cultivators imprisoned here, but there aren't many alchemists and weaponsmiths. The treasures found in the Evergreen Valley were mostly spiritual herbs and spiritual materials. Although these things are quite good in the Hidden Dragon Cave, it's clearly more practical to exchange them for pills and spirit artifacts." After speaking to that point, Chu Feng thought for a moment, then said, "In a while, I will be going into the Evergreen Valley with a few friends. If you don't have anything else to do, you can come with us to try your luck." "Brother Chu Feng, do you have any illustrations of the commonly seen spirit plants and materials in the Evergreen Valley?" Tang Ao didn't answer whether he was going or not, and instead asked a question. "In the bag Senior Cold Moon gave you, there is a jade strip that specifically describes the Evergreen Valley. You can take some time to look at that jade strip." "Thank you for your reminder, Brother Chu Feng. This time around, I will not be entering the Evergreen Valley with you all." After thinking for a while, Tang Ao still refused Chu Feng's invitation. Although it was a good thing for Tang Ao to have someone lead the way into the Evergreen Valley, Tang Ao's current top priority was still to heal his injuries and recover his strength. After declining Chu Feng's invitation, Tang Ao followed Xiao Yu to a spacious area. In that place there were quite a few simple houses. Big Brother Tang Ao, these houses were built by Qin Yun's senior brothers and sisters. Now that they are gone, Big Brother Tang Ao can choose one to live in, or I can help Big Brother Tang Ao build a new house. Tang Ao's gaze followed the direction that Xiao Yu was pointing at, and what he saw was a desolate scene. The empty space was extremely wide, and the houses stood there lifelessly. Tang Ao's spirit swept over the houses, and Tang Ao discovered that they were all empty. As Tang Ao looked at the houses, Tang Ao saw Xiao Yu walk towards a simple but very tidy house. Tang Ao followed her. It seemed that Xiao Yu knew the previous owner of the house. Chapter 12:24. Then after a while, I'll bring you to the Evergreen Valley to find Lady Zixuan. Do you know where she went to the Evergreen Valley? After Tang Ao saw that Xiao Yu's eyes were filled with sorrow, he comforted her. After hearing Tang Ao's words, Xiao Yu happily nodded her head. But before waiting for Xiao Yu to continue speaking, she heard Lin Dongnan's voice resound in the surroundings. "Everyone, come here for a moment." Sigh. Although Lin Dongnan's words were still full of energy, his voice revealed a lot of helplessness. Tang Ao didn't understand what was going on, so he immediately asked Xiao Yu, "Xiao Yu, do you know what happened?" Xiao Yu tilted her head and pondered for a moment. Then, she cried out and revealed a bitter expression on her face. "It's time to release blood again." Hearing Xiao Yu's words, Tang Ao hiddenly laughed. But before Tang Ao even laughed, Tang Ao recalled Chu Feng's words just now. On the first day of every month, the martial artists in the Hidden Dragon Cave had to force out a drop of blood essence and hand it over. Tang Ao secretly cursed himself for coming at the wrong time. Coincidentally, it was time to release blood. Right now, Tang Ao had injuries all over his body. Forcing out blood essence in that state was definitely not an easy thing. Besides, blood essence was the essence of a martial artist's lifetime of cultivation. The loss of blood essence to a martial artist was even greater than a heavy injury. In terms of body refinement realm martial artists, they could at most store 3 drops of blood essence in their body. After losing 1 drop of blood essence, it was impossible to recover without 2 months of time. Thinking to that point, Tang Ao also understood why the martial artists in the Hidden Dragon Cave were so weak. If he had a choice, Tang Ao would definitely not be willing to force out his own blood essence. The current Tang Ao had not recovered from his heavy injuries yet. After losing blood essence, His injuries piled even more injuries on top of injuries. Right now, there was not a single bit of spirit power left in Tang Ao's body. There wasn't much essence either. But Tang Ao's external and internal injuries were very serious. This was especially true for his internal injuries. Ever since Tang Ao's spiritual sea and soul sea had been shattered by the Thunder Python, they had never completely healed. Instead, they had constantly encountered powerful enemies, and their injuries had continuously worsened. The path of the martial Tao had always been filled with hardships and dangers. In his previous life, Tang Ao was able to become a peak-level astral-reaching realm warrior, and he had also gone through countless difficulties. But in this life, Tang Ao had too many things to worry about. Tang Ao no longer dared to be as crazy as he was in his previous life. Taking a deep breath, Tang Ao followed Xiao Yu's footsteps and walked towards the gathering place. Before he reached the gathering place, Tang Ao saw a group of masked martial artists in white clothes. These warriors all had the words Dragon Prison Castle embroidered on their sleeves. They were the disciples of the Dragon Prison Castle. Right then, these people were holding jade bottles and walking in front of each warrior. They did not talk to these warriors, but only opened the special jade bottles in their hands, asking the warriors to hand out their essence blood. "Hurry up! What are you waiting for?" In front of a pale-faced little girl, a warrior from the Dragon Prison Castle said impatiently. Tang Ao scanned with his soul remembrance, and knew that this little girl was only at the body refining realm level 1. In this place there were a lot of warriors, but body refining realm level 1 warriors were still rare. Back then, Lin Dongnan and the other two had only disguised themselves as body refining realm level 1 warriors. Their actual cultivation was way higher than this. "Brother, I'm scared." The little girl looked at the warriors in white in front of her and was very nervous. Her little hand was tugging at the corner of the clothes of a young man next to her. This young man looked 70 to 80% similar to the little girl. Obviously, they were twins. This young man was at the body refining realm level 3. However, right now, perhaps because he had lost his essence blood, he looked very weak. Chapter 12:25. A martial artist's blood was the essence of a martial artist's body. Losing blood was extremely harmful to a martial artist. In fact, losing too much blood at once could put a martial artist's life in danger. However, just now, Tang Ao suddenly thought of a method. The Jade Bone Life Soul already contained an endless amount of life force. As long as he forced out a drop of normal blood and mixed it with a trace of the Jade Bone Life Soul's aura, the opponent wouldn't be able to detect it and Tang Ao wouldn't lose anything. After Tang Ao made this request, the martial artist in charge of collecting the blood coldly glanced at Tang Ao and then nodded. "Move faster." As he spoke, he handed the special jade bottle to Tang Ao. When the jade bottle entered his hand, Tang Ao felt a special energy fluctuation. As a peak 6th grade refiner, Tang Ao obviously knew that this was the fluctuation of an inscription array. After using his soul remembrance, Tang Ao understood the use of this inscription array. This inscription array seemed very complicated, but its use was very simple. Its only use was to keep the martial artist's blood and spirituality stored in the jade bottle from flowing away. Tang Ao could see that this inscription array was made up of over 30 formation patterns. Looking at this incomparably complicated formation pattern, Tang Ao slightly shook his head. If Tang Ao were to carve this formation pattern, Tang Ao would only need to use 4 combination formation patterns to achieve this effect. "Move faster." Seeing that Tang Ao didn't immediately force out the blood after receiving the jade bottle, the martial artist impatiently urged him again. This time, Tang Ao didn't waste any words. Tang Ao extended his right hand and formed a sword shape with his index and middle fingers. Then, a light shot out and a drop of ruby red blood floated down from Tang Ao's fingertip. This drop of blood seemed to contain endless life force, making people feel like it wasn't a drop of blood, but a living life. After the blood that Tang Ao forced out fell into the jade bottle, the jade bottle immediately lit up with a resplendent green light. The brighter the green light, the higher the quality of the blood and the purer it was. Seeing that Tang Ao's blood was of such high quality, the martial artist was in a good mood. He took out 2 more jade bottles and gave them to Tang Ao. One of the jade bottles was empty and was used to collect the essence blood of martial artists. The other jade bottle contained 3 middle-grade essence nourishing pills. Tang Ao was overjoyed when he saw the 3 middle-grade vitality-augmenting pills. This was simply a pillow delivered to him when he was feeling sleepy. Now, Tang Ao needed vitality-augmenting pills, and someone had delivered them to him. In the future, I will collect blood from you every month. Take these pills to recover and condense your blood. After Tang Ao received the 2 jade bottles, the white-clothed martial artist said coldly. After receiving the vitality-cultivating pill, Tang Ao naturally forced out a drop of blood essence and dropped it into the empty jade bottle. Shadowless accepted the jade bottle with satisfaction. To Shadowless, the more essence blood in the hidden dragon cave, the better it was. The higher the quality, the better. Otherwise, with over 10,000 martial artists locked in the hidden dragon cave, he wouldn't have as much blood as he wanted. Let's go. Seeing that everyone was standing there waiting for him, Shadowless coldly spat out 2 words. Then, he walked a few steps away and the group of people completely disappeared. When Tang Ao saw this, he swept his soul remembrance over but didn't find anything. Therefore, Tang Ao immediately used Heavenly Polar Pupil to look. Tang Ao saw Shadowless and his group quickly leaving. Chapter 12:26. Brother Tang Ao, thank you for this time. Because my little sister's body is weak, she can't force out a drop of essence blood every month. 2 days ago, I was injured in Evergreen Valley, so I couldn't do anything this time. If it wasn't for Brother Tang Ao helping out, I really wouldn't know what to do. After Shadowless left, the brother and sister that were helped by Tang Ao immediately went up to thank him. Tang Ao smiled amiably. It's a small matter, don't worry about it. We are all members of the Qin Yun Alliance, so we should help each other. I'm Yi Qian, this is my little sister, Yilan. In the future, if Brother Tang Ao has any requests, us 2 siblings definitely won't decline. Although Tang Ao didn't take this matter to heart, Yi Qian seemed to be very grateful to Tang Ao. Tang Ao thought this at first, but when Tang Ao felt Yi Qian plant a soul remembrance imprint on him, Tang Ao knew that Yi Qian's gratitude towards him wasn't as simple as just gratitude. Tang Ao pondered for a moment and quickly understood. Since it was his first time joining the Qin Yun Alliance, Cold Moon gave him 3 middle-grade yuan cultivating pills. Just now, Shadowless also gave him 3 middle-grade yuan cultivating pills because his essence blood quality wasn't bad. In other places, the middle-grade essence cultivating pill was also of very rare existence. In this hidden dragon crypt, the essence cultivating pill was even more of a life-saving item. Without thinking too much, Tang Ao knew that Yi Qian was interested in his yuan cultivating pills. Although what Tang Ao forced out just now wasn't the real thing, he still helped the 2 of them. Now, Yi Qian and Shadowless didn't want to repay the kindness, but they actually wanted Tang Ao's yuan cultivating pills. Tang Ao secretly sighed in his heart. Tang Ao had lived 2 lives and naturally knew the cruelty of the world of martial artists. However, Yi Qian's method still made Tang Ao feel a chill in his heart. Just as Yi Qian was about to speak, Tang Ao interrupted him. I still have something to do. Brother Yi, take care. After Tang Ao finished speaking, he walked straight towards Lin Dongnan. When Yi Qian saw Tang Ao's actions, a trace of coldness flashed in his eyes, but he still did not say anything. Brother Tang Ao is really lucky. His essence blood grade is too high, so he got Shadowless favor. Lin Dongnan smiled when he saw Tang Ao walking over. Although Lin Dongnan was also imprisoned here, Lin Dongnan could be said to be very optimistic among the warriors. It was also because of this that some people suspected that Lin Dongnan had come to the hidden dragon cave on purpose. That person is called Shadowless? Brother Lin seems to know him? Tang Ao did not expect Lin Dongnan to know someone from the dragon prison castle, so he casually asked. Brother Tang Ao really doesn't know Shadowless? Seeing that he did not seem to know Shadowless, Lin Dongnan looked at Tang Ao in surprise. Not only Lin Dongnan, but even the warriors around Lin Dongnan also glanced at Tang Ao in surprise. Please enlighten me, brother. Tang Ao cupped his fists at Lin Dongnan. Tang Ao knew very little about the Flying Star Continent, so Tang Ao knew even less about the Dragon Prison Castle. It seems that brother Tang Ao really doesn't know about the Dragon Prison Castle. Then, I will give you a brief introduction. Lin Dongnan stroked his beard and asked, Brother Tang Ao, do you know about the top 10 forces of the Flying Star Continent? Chapter 12:27. While Tang Ao and Lin Dongnan were talking, Yi Qian and Yi Lan also walked to the side. The two of them looked at each other and nodded their heads. Clearly, they had made some sort of decision. It was true that they were indebted to Tang Ao, but the 6 middle-grade essence cultivating pills on Tang Ao were also things that they urgently needed. In the dragon subduing crypt, if one didn't want to die and wanted to live comfortably, or even leave the dragon subduing crypt alive, then the only way was to continuously increase one's strength. After Tang Ao and Lin Dongnan chatted for a while, Tang Ao had a better understanding of the dragon subduing crypt and the dragon prison castle. The white-clothed martial artist, who just gave him 3 middle-grade essence cultivating pills, was called Shadowless. He was one of the dragon prison castle's 9 great protectors. Back then, when Tang Ao had just been washed ashore by the river, he encountered Bai Wuyo, as well as Su Hongyi, who later used illusion flower poison to knock him out, were also people of the 9 great protectors. After saying goodbye to Lin Dongnan, Tang Ao went to the small wooden house that Zi Xian originally lived in. Because no one had used it for a long time, this small wooden house's door had already been sealed by spiderwebs. Tang Ao's internal essence swept out and a cluster of flames flew out, burning these spiderwebs clean. Following that, Tang Ao was about to push the door open and enter the wooden house. But the instant he entered the door, Tang Ao suddenly stopped. This was because Tang Ao had just felt a killing intent. Furthermore, Tang Ao knew that this killing intent did not come from the Yi siblings. At the same time Yi Qian planted a soul remembrance imprint on Tang Ao's body, Tang Ao also returned a soul remembrance imprint to Yi Qian. Since Yi Qian had already set his sights on him, Tang Ao naturally had to be on guard. Therefore, if Yi Qian and his sister were nearby, Tang Ao would be able to sense them easily. However, Tang Ao didn't feel his soul remembrance imprint in the surroundings. This meant that it wasn't just the Yi brother and sister duo that had thoughts about him. At this moment, although Tang Ao looked no different from an ordinary person, in fact, Tang Ao was now covered in wounds. Tang Ao originally wanted to stay in this small house to recuperate for a period of time, but now it seemed that these people would not let him do as he wished. Frowning slightly, Tang Ao pushed the door open and entered the small wooden house. What would come would come. However, Tang Ao still hoped that these people could give him some time. After entering the wooden house, Tang Ao saw that there was only a bare bed and a wooden table in the wooden house. There was nothing else on the wooden table except a teapot and a few cups. Because no one had lived in the room for a long time, there was a lot of dust in the room. Tang Ao used 2 dust removal techniques and sat down on the bed. After sitting on the bed, Tang Ao didn't immediately take the yuan-raising pill to heal his wounds. Instead, he calmly sat down cross-legged. After sitting down cross-legged, Tang Ao's soul remembrance spread out in all directions with Tang Ao as the center. Under Tang Ao's perception, the surrounding grass and trees became incomparably clear. Tang Ao saw a field of illusion flowers outside the house. These illusion flowers occasionally emitted a purple mist that was hard to detect with the naked eye. This was the illusion flower poison. After scanning the illusion flower poison, Tang Ao's soul remembrance continued to extend outwards. Tang Ao saw a martial artist sitting on a large tree. This martial artist was wearing black clothes and his eyes were very sinister. Most eye-catching was the vertical sword scar on his left eye. This sword scar was extremely dangerous. If it had gone any deeper, his left eye would have been gone. Chapter 12:28. Tang Ao's soul remembrance didn't linger on him for too long, and he continued to scan other places. Although Tang Ao had only captured his killing intent, Tang Ao knew that there were quite a few people hiding around his house. Not long after, Tang Ao discovered another person. This was a very fat martial artist. Although it was only one person, 3 normal martial artists added together probably wouldn't be as big as him. What was comical was that this person had a braid and wore flowery clothes, looking very unconventional. Although his attire was unconventional, Tang Ao didn't dare look down on him. Different from the previous martial artist, he didn't hide his aura. Instead, he swaggered around in the grass and chewed on a wild boar leg, as if he was afraid others wouldn't discover him. Shaking his head, Tang Ao continued to scan other places with his soul remembrance. On a smooth boulder, Tang Ao discovered a woman wearing a white dress. Tang Ao hadn't seen this woman before, but it seemed that this white-clothed woman wasn't here for his yuan cultivating pills, because this woman lived not far from Tang Ao. This empty space was clearly her daily cultivation area. When Tang Ao used his soul remembrance to scan her, this woman slightly creased her brows. After sensing for a moment, she unexpectedly glared at Tang Ao's wooden house. Tang Ao's heart jumped. Although Tang Ao's cultivation was greatly damaged, Tang Ao felt that his soul remembrance should be able to suppress these martial artists without a problem. However, now Tang Ao was somewhat doubting himself. After bitterly laughing, Tang Ao retracted his soul remembrance. Although he had only casually swept his eyes around, Tang Ao had a general understanding of the surrounding situation. Presently, there were 6 martial artists with decent cultivation around the house. If the woman in white was excluded, then there were still 5 people who were interested in his vitality cultivating pills. Of these 5 martial artists, the strongest was the fatty who was chewing on the pig leg. His cultivation had reached the 5th level of the body refining realm. The weakest was a youth with a protruding mouth and monkey cheek. This person was only at the 3rd level of the body refining realm, but his aura was very strange. His cultivation was the weakest among them, but Tang Ao did not think that his strength was the weakest. Tang Ao didn't know when these people would gather here, but Tang Ao didn't plan on wasting time with them. After ascertaining the people hiding in the surroundings, Tang Ao immediately took out a jade bottle and placed 3 vitality cultivating pills in his hand. Just as Tang Ao took out the essence cultivating pill, a black shadow suddenly flew in from Tang Ao's window. Tang Ao secretly sighed in his heart. These people really came for the essence cultivating pill. However, at this moment, no one else had made a move, but this early-stage body refining realm 4th level martial artist could no longer keep his cool. Although his speed was abnormally fast, Tang Ao could still see that this was a jade-faced young man wielding a pair of short spears. After Luo Ping broke through the window, the 2 spears in his hands swept towards Tang Ao's throat. His speed was incomparably fast. In midair, all that could be seen was a silver flash, and the 2 spears had already reached Tang Ao's throat. If this hit landed, Tang Ao's head would immediately be removed. If Tang Ao was another body refining realm 1st level martial artist, Tang Ao would have already breathed his last without any suspense. Chapter 12:29. At this time, Luo Ping's twin spears crossed each other, creating a series of sparks in the air. At this time, Tang Ao also leapt up, his hands moving like lightning, firmly grabbing onto Luo Ping's twin spears. Tang Ao's quick reaction was out of Luo Ping's expectation, so he could only release his energy and shake the twin spears. If Tang Ao and Luo Ping's cultivation were the same, then Luo Ping's move would be useless. But the difference between Tang Ao and Luo Ping was not small. After Luo Ping's energy shook, Tang Ao felt pain in his arms, and could no longer hold on to the twin spears. Luo Ping also took this opportunity, suddenly pulling out his twin spears and leaping into the air, increasing the distance between him and Tang Ao. The twin spears that Luo Ping used were only as long as an arm. Even though they were also close combat weapons, they were different from daggers that were used for stabbing. In order to unleash the power of the short spears, a distance was needed. Therefore, after Luo Ping missed his attack, he immediately retreated. "You're already very good to be able to take one of my attacks, but you won't be able to keep your vitality cultivating pills. Give me the vitality cultivating pills, and I won't make things difficult for you, how about it?" After jumping out of the ring, Luo Ping did not immediately attack Tang Ao, but said calmly, "I'm sorry, I have no intention of giving these 6 vitality cultivating pills away." Tang Ao patted his clothes and secretly swallowed one of the vitality cultivating pills that he had placed in his mouth. If it wasn't for this situation, Tang Ao really wouldn't want to use the vitality cultivating pills so rudely. After consuming the vitality cultivating pill, one must quietly cultivate and refine it. Only then can one completely absorb the energy contained within the vitality cultivating pill. If Tang Ao were to refine the vitality cultivating pill like this, Tang Ao would be able to absorb less than 30% of the energy contained within the vitality cultivating pill. In the hidden dragon cave, the vitality cultivating pill was already very precious, and to waste a middle-grade vitality cultivating pill like this, Tang Ao felt very regretful. "Don't you want to reconsider?" When Tang Ao swallowed the vitality cultivating pill, Luo Ping frowned. He was already fast enough, but Luo Ping did not expect Tang Ao to put in vitality cultivating pill in his mouth. After Tang Ao consumed the essence cultivating pill, because Tang Ao did not have the chance to refine and absorb the yuan qi of the essence cultivating pill, it caused the yuan qi of the essence cultivating pill to circulate in Tang Ao's body. Therefore, Luo Ping noticed it immediately. No need. After taking a vitality-raising pill, Tang Ao instantly used the abundant yuan qi in his body to summon the Azure Lotus Sword Spirit. Seeing Tang Ao's green lotus sword soul, Luo Ping's eyes narrowed. Although Luo Ping did not appear when Tang Ao and Lin Dongnan were fighting, Luo Ping was secretly observing. Luo Ping clearly remembered that the life soul Tang Ao had used back then was a golden armor-like life soul, but now, Tang Ao had released a different life soul. Luo Ping clearly remembered that the life soul that Tang Ao used was a life soul that looked like a golden armor. But now, Tang Ao released a different life soul. However, Luo Ping was slightly puzzled. If Tang Ao was really hiding his cultivation, then when Tang Ao was holding onto his twin spears, there was no reason for him to struggle free. Hee, little Luo Ping, it looks like you can't swallow this vitality cultivating pill." Just as Luo Ping was hesitating whether or not to continue fighting, a muffled voice came from outside the room. Tang Ao and Luo Ping's soul remembrance swept outside the door and saw a large fatty. Chapter 12:30. Hee. Hai-Fuan looked at Tang Ao and laughed, then looked at Luo Ping and said, "Your suggestion is good, but I'm afraid I can't make the decision. Am I right, everyone?" Tang Ao already knew that there were 4 people around, so when Hai Fuyuan said that, Tang Ao wasn't surprised. On the other hand, Luo Ping happened to come from the opposite direction of the others, so he didn't notice them at all. After Hai Fuyuan said that, the youth with a sword scar on his left eye was the first to show himself. Yang Tsang didn't say anything after he showed himself. He swung his sword and charged towards Luo Ping. There's no time for the vitality pill. Let's talk about it after I settle my debt with Luo Ping. Yang Tsang, you lunatic. What benefits do you get from fighting me now? You and I will fight until both of us are heavily injured, and Fatty Hai will have the 5 middle-grade raise vitality pills. Luo Ping scolded as he thrusted out his spears. However, Yang Tsang seemed to have turned a deaf ear to Luo Ping's words. Seeing this, Tang Ao was slightly happy. If the 5 of them attacked him together, Tang Ao really wouldn't be able to handle it. Now that 2 of them were gone, Tang Ao felt a little relieved. Are the 3 of you still not coming out? Hai Fuyuan looked rough, but he was very meticulous. Even at this time, he didn't immediately snatch Tang Ao's vitality pill. Instead, he said something to the people behind him. This time, Hai Fuyuan directly exposed the 3 people in the dark, so the other 3 naturally didn't continue to hide. The first to appear was the beautiful woman wearing a white dress. As soon as she appeared, she said in a cold voice, "This matter has nothing to do with me. I am not interested in the vitality-raising pill. Goodbye." After saying that, she actually left. Although Tang Ao already knew that she didn't come for the vitality pill, but seeing her leave, Tang Ao still felt that it was unreal. If it was in other places, the middle-grade essence cultivating pill might not be very precious to these warriors, but it was different in the hidden dragon crypt. To exaggerate a little, a middle-grade essence cultivating pill was equivalent to a life in the dragon subduing crypt. With Tang Ao's present state, it was impossible for him to release a life soul with his primordial energy. However, with the large amount of primordial energy contained in the essence nurturing pill, Tang Ao could temporarily release his life soul to fight. After the white-clothed woman left, a young man holding a folding fan immediately walked out. Since Miss Su doesn't want it, this matter is simple. There are 6 people here, and Brother Tang Ao has 6 pills in his hands. We'll each take one, what do you think? I have no objections. After Tang Ming said that, Hai Fuyuan immediately chuckled. After Hai Fuyuan expressed his opinion, the other person also nodded. This person was also at the 5th level of the body refining realm. His entire body was wrapped in a black cloak, and his face could not be seen clearly. Since his life soul was a black fox, the people here also called him Black Fox. After Black Fox expressed his opinion, the few of them looked at a red-haired, red-bearded youth dressed in a fiery red robe. This person was called Qi Yang, and he was proficient in fire martial technique. His personality was like a raging fire, even though he was also at the 5th level of the body refining realm. If this was any other time, the few of them definitely wouldn't want to provoke this lunatic. Chapter 12:31. Although this Qi Yang was also here to snatch the vitality cultivating pills, Tang Ao felt that this Qi Yang was quite interesting. If not for the current situation, Tang Ao would be willing to befriend Qi Yang. At this time, Su Muyun, who had just left, actually returned. Seeing that the others had yet to start snatching the essence-augmenting pellets, Su Muyun felt slightly relieved and immediately said to Tang Ao, "Lend me 2 essence-augmenting pellets, I'll pay you back double after a month. I will also ensure that you do not die today. How about that?" Tang Ao was a little surprised. Su Muyun had clearly said that she did not want the vitality-cultivating pills, but now she came back and said this. Tang Ao secretly lamented in his heart. Could a woman's mood really change so quickly? However, Tang Ao was quite tempted by Su Muyun's suggestion. Among the 5 of them, Qi Yang, who was the strongest, was only at the peak of the 5th level of the body refining realm. However, Su Muyun was a martial artist at the peak of the 6th level of the body refining realm. If Su Muyun wanted to protect himself, he would definitely be able to do it. Now, it all depended on whether or not it was worth it to use 2 middle-grade vitality fostering pills to ensure his safety. Seeing Tang Ao's hesitant expression, Hai Fuyuan immediately realized that something was wrong. Without waiting for Hai Fuyuan to speak, Tang Ao said straightforwardly, "If Miss Su is willing to help me out, I will give these 2 vitality-cultivating pills to Miss Su." As Tang Ao spoke, he threw the jade bottle with 2 vitality-cultivating pills to Su Muyun. Su Muyun took the jade bottle and put it away. At the same time, she said, "These 2 pills are borrowed from you. I will return you double the amount in a month." After saying this, Su Muyun looked at Qi Yang, Hai Fuyuan, and the others and said, "Any objections?" Seeing this, Hai Fuyuan's heart instantly became anxious. Although Su Muyun was powerful, the 5 of them were not afraid of her even if they joined forces. Hai Fuyuan was now worried that the others would be afraid. Then, these 5 vitality-cultivating pills would be taken by Su Muyun. Senior Sister Su's skill is a level higher, so we naturally have no objections to her taking 2 essence-augmenting pills. However, if Senior Sister Su wants to take all 5 essence-augmenting pills for herself, then you're really looking down on the 5 of us. As Hai Fuyuan spoke, he deliberately brought the other 4 people in. Although his appearance was rough and honest, his mind was extremely smooth. "So you have a problem with it?" However, Su Muyun was clearly not someone who would play by the rules. After Hai Fuyuan finished speaking, he did not wait for the others to respond. With a wave of his palm, a massive palm imprint flew towards Hai Fuyuan. The speed of this palm was frighteningly fast. When Hai Fuyuan saw Su Muyun raise his hand, he instantly dodged to the side. However, he was only able to barely dodge Su Muyun's attack. After his attack missed, Su Muyun's body flashed as he charged toward Hai Fuyuan. From the surging vital energy in her body, it could be seen that she was not joking around and had even used her full strength. Although Hai Fuyuan's strength wasn't bad, he was still lacking when compared to Su Muyun. Thus, how could Hai Fuyuan dare to clash head-on with Su Muyun? As he retreated, Hai Fuyuan shouted anxiously, "Do you guys still want to watch the show? If you guys don't make a move, Fatty, will be leaving. I don't want the essence-augmenting pill anymore. Goodbye." Seeing that Su Muyun was serious, Black Fox hesitated for a moment before saying. After saying that, Black Fox did not stay any longer. Her figure quickly disappeared from their line of sight. With the 5 of them attacking together, Su Muyun was naturally not a match for them. However, Black Fox knew very well what kind of people they were. Joining forces with them was worse than asking a tiger for its skin. Black Fox felt that before he could get his hands on the essence-augmenting pill, these guys had already started stabbing him in the back. "I don't want the essence-augmenting pill anymore." After Black Fox left, Tang Ming also expressed his stance. It was just as Hai Fuyuan had said. If the 5 or even 4 of them joined forces, they would be able to fight Su Muyun. However, these guys each had their own ulterior motives. Once they joined forces, not only would they have to deal with Su Muyun, but they would also have to guard against each other. In such a battle, their chances of winning were really not high. However, after Tang Ming expressed his stance, he did not leave. Instead, he stood to the side. It was unknown what he was thinking. Chapter 1232. When Tang Ao saw Hai Fuyuan and the others leave, he felt relieved. Even in other places in the Flying Star continent, the intermediate-grade vitality cultivating pill was tempting enough. In the Hidden Dragon Caves it was even more so. If not for the vitality cultivating pill, Hai Fuyuan and the rest would not have found him. If not for the vitality cultivating pill, why would Su Muyun be willing to help in this situation? "Yang Tsang, you lunatic, I don't want this vitality cultivating pill anymore." After seeing them leave, Luo Ping was so depressed that he wanted to vomit blood. Originally, the 5 vitality cultivating pills in Tang Ao's hands could have been his, but Yang Tsang was also here and ruined his plans. After Luo Ping finished speaking, he attacked Yang Tsang several times and fled when there was an opening. However, Tang Ao did not know what enmity Yang Tsang and Luo Ping had. After Luo Ping fled, Yang Tsang chased after him without thinking. It felt like he would not stop until one of them died. After seeing Yang Tsang and Luo Ping leave, Tang Ming, who had expressed that he would not fight, had a flash of disappointment in his eyes. It was not that he did not want the vitality cultivating pill, but that he wanted to avoid a conflict with Su Muyun first. Su Muyun was a martial artist at the pinnacle of body refining realm level 6, while he was only at the early stage of body refining realm level 5. Fighting with Su Muyun head-on would not benefit him. However, if someone else attacked Su Muyun, and he attacked from the side, the outcome would be very different. However, Tang Ming did not expect Hai Fuyuan to be scared and Black Fox to be so cunning. Yang Tsang and Luo Ping were also too idiot. They actually gave up fighting for the vitality cultivating pill for such a small matter. Senior Sister Su, I have long wanted to fight with you. Please enlighten me. Just as Tang Ao thought that the matter was over, Qi Yang, who had been silent all this while, suddenly stepped forward and walked in front of Su Muyun. All right. Su Muyun did not hesitate at all. With a shake of his hands, 2 short spikes fell from his sleeves. Immediately, these 2 short spikes seemed to have grown eyes as they pierced towards Qi Yang's throat with incredible agility. Qi Yang had the guts to fight Su Muyun, so he was naturally not an ordinary person. Qi Yang roared angrily, and a layer of crimson flames ignited on his body. The moment these flames appeared, Tang Ao felt the surrounding temperature rise by a few degrees. Tang Ming, who was not far behind Qi Yang, took a few steps back in fear. Tang Ming's actions attracted Tang Ao's attention. In the beginning, Tang Ao had thought that Tang Ming and Qi Yang were good friends, so Tang Ming had stayed behind to wait for Qi Yang. However, the few steps that Tang Ming had taken just now were not simple. On the surface, it seemed like Tang Ming had just taken a few steps casually, but Tang Ao knew that Tang Ming had completely sealed off Qi Yang's escape route. If Qi Yang did not lower himself to Su Muyun, he would definitely have to retreat. However, the moment Qi Yang retreated, he would fall right into Tang Ming's trap. This Tang Ming was not simple. Tang Ao looked at Tang Ming with a slightly more solemn expression. However, at this moment, Tang Ao did not say much. If he said it now, Qi Yang would definitely not believe him. He would even think that it was a lie that he deliberately made up to help Su Muyun win. On the other side, Qi Yang and Su Muyun were in a heated battle. Although Su Muyun's cultivation level was 1 level higher than Qi Yang's, the life soul that Qi Yang had awakened was very powerful. Tang Ao recognized at a glance that the life soul that Qi Yang had awakened was the 9th level's 6 Scarlet Blaze life soul. Of course, if that was all, it was not considered very rare. Chapter 1233. Tang Ao had fought many Feishan continent martial artists after tearing through space with the Space Jade Talisman to come here. However, due to various reasons, both sides had only fought for a short period of time. Therefore, Tang Ao did not have a deep understanding of the Feishan continent's martial artists. Now that Qi Yang and Su Muyun were fighting with all their might, Tang Ao took the opportunity to observe them. Tang Ming was overjoyed when he saw that Qi Yang was barely able to resist Su Muyun. Brother Qi Yang, do you need my help? Although Tang Ming wanted to join forces with Qi Yang to attack Su Muyun, he did not attack immediately. Instead, he asked for Qi Yang's help. Tang Ming knew that Qi Yang had a strange temper. If he attacked recklessly and Qi Yang did not appreciate his help, he might be attacked by both Su Muyun and Qi Yang. Scram! Qi Yang was not moved at all when he heard Tang Ming's words. He only spat out one word coldly. In the middle of the battle, Qi Yang had become a man on fire. 6 balls of flames floated around Qi Yang. These flames were extremely mysterious and had a faint pressure of heaven and earth. The moment this fluctuation appeared, the chaotic 6 light mirror in Tang Ao's body could not help but jump. Tang Ao was even more surprised when Qi Yang activated the chaotic 6 light mirror. Tang Ao has been in possession of the primal chaos 6 light mirror for quite some time now. However, Tang Ao has yet to discover anything that could trigger the primal chaos 6 light mirror. When Tang Ao encountered the Shennong Emperor, Emperor Ming, and several other Emperor-level powerhouses, the chaotic 6 light mirror did not have any reaction. The chaotic 6 light mirror only fluctuated for the first time when he found the half of the living soil guarded by spirit official Wang in the snowfield ruins. The other time, when Chu Shuahan summoned the strange golden flames, the chaotic 6 light mirror also fluctuated slightly. This time, after sensing the flames around Qi Yang, the chaotic 6 light mirror fluctuated for the third time. Although Tang Ao could not tell the origin of the 6 balls of flames around Qi Yang, Tang Ao could vaguely feel that they were in an extremely weak state. As long as these 6 balls of flames could release even the slightest bit of power, Su Muyun, who was fighting against Qi Yang, would have long been burned into nothingness. At this moment, Tang Ao also understood why Tang Ming had retreated so far away just now. If that was the case, Qi Yang most likely had some means to stimulate these flames and release some of their power. However, Qi Yang did not seem to have any intention of ending the battle. In the battle circle, Qi Yang, who was bathed in flames, was still trembling with Su Muyun. Su Muyun had also put away the pair of short spikes that he had used earlier. At this moment, Su Muyun was holding onto a long spear. Su Muyun swept out with the spear in his hand, and the ferocious aura it exuded caused the surrounding dust to flutter upwards. Qi Yang was not weak either. Faced with the incoming spear, Qi Yang took a step forward and clasped his hands together in an attempt to grab Su Muyun's spear with his bare hands. However, although Qi Yang was not slow, he caught nothing. Before Su Muyun's spear could reach Qi Yang's throat, the spear quietly turned into a steel whip. Chapter 1234. After this lash, Tang Ao knew that the outcome of the battle was decided. Although it was just a battle between body-refining realm martial artists, Tang Ao's performance was still remarkable. Moreover, their low cultivation was not due to their lack of martial arts talent or hard work, but because there was no spirit energy in the Flying Star continent. Tang Ao believed that if Qi Yang and Su Muyun could go to the Black-Yellow continent or the Snow Plains, they would at least be martial artists of the Spirit Sea realm or even higher. After catching Qi Yang off guard, Su Muyun immediately followed up with another attack. The steel whip in her hand disappeared in a flash, and at the same time, a terrifying wave spread out from Su Muyun's palm. Qi Yang was shocked. Qi Yang was greatly alarmed. If he were to land this blow, he would at least be half dead. Qi Yang did not dare to hold back anymore. A flaming saber suddenly appeared between Qi Yang's brows. "Brother Qi Yang, don't!" Tang Ao hurriedly shouted, but it was too late. Su Muyun's fierce and overbearing palm energy did not land on Qi Yang. Instead, it knocked down all the freezing water 7-star nails that Tang Ming had used to sneak an attack on Qi Yang. However, at the same time that Su Muyun blocked the fatal blow for Qi Yang's flaming saber pierced right under Su Muyun's ribs. In an instant, a scorching heat spread from under Su Muyun's ribs as if it was going to incinerate her into nothingness. Su Muyun only felt that the intense pain was making her lose all feeling in her body. She gritted her teeth and flashed to Tang Ao's side. She grabbed Tang Ao and left the place in a few leaps. Qi Yang wanted to chase after them, but Su Muyun's speed was too fast. Qi Yang could not see Tang Ao and Su Muyun's figures after chasing for a short distance. Even so, Tang Ao could still hear Qi Yang's furious roar from behind. However, at this time, Tang Ao was no longer in the mood to care about Qi Yang. Tang Ao knew how powerful Qi Yang's flaming saber was. Therefore, Tang Ao knew that if he did not treat Su Muyun soon, she would not be able to be saved. At this time, Su Muyun brought Tang Ao to a small house by the river. When he saw the small house, Su Muyun's body went soft and he fell from the sky. Tang Ao exerted his strength and carried Su Muyun in his arms before rushing forward and kicking the door open. After kicking open the door, Tang Ao saw a clean and tidy bed. On the bed, there was an extremely weak white kitten. When Kitten saw Tang Ao come in, her eyes were filled with vigilance. But when she saw Su Muyun in Tang Ao's arms, her eyes were filled with worry. Clearly, it could sense that Su Muyun wasn't in a good state right now. After Tang Ao placed Su Muyun on the bed, his sole remembrance immediately swept over Su Muyun's wound. Tang Ao saw that Su Muyun had gathered all the primordial qi in his body to seal the wound. However, even though Su Muyun's primordial qi was dense, it was still powerless under Qi Yang's flaming saber. At this time, Qi Yang's flames had already started burning Su Muyun's internal organs. Moreover, the primordial qi that Su Muyun used to seal the flames was also being consumed bit by bit. Once this primordial qi was exhausted, Su Muyun would immediately be burned into nothingness by the flames. At that moment, Tang Ao did not dare to waste any more time. He immediately circulated the remaining primordial qi in his body and summoned the Jade Bone Life Soul. However, because Tang Ao's primordial qi was too weak, even the Jade Bone Life Soul could not do anything to Qi Yang's flames. Chapter 12:35. If the Jade Bone Life Soul doesn't work, then I can only refine pills. However, in my current state, it's impossible to refine a high-grade pill. Am I supposed to just watch her walk towards her death? Tang Ao felt a strong sense of helplessness in his heart. This feeling rarely appeared in Tang Ao, but every time it did, it would leave a deep impression in Tang Ao's mind. Something's wrong. Suddenly, a thought flashed through Tang Ao's mind. Tang Ao remembered that the netherworld flame summoned by the underworld life soul could swallow any kind of flame. The flame that was raging in Su Muyun's body was also in the category of flames. But in Tang Ao's current state, wanting to release the underworld life soul was just a fool's dream. Just as Tang Ao was feeling anxious in his heart, a dark blue flame suddenly jumped out from Tang Ao's palm. And at this moment, Tang Ao had a feeling of enlightenment in his heart, connecting heaven and earth, connecting yin and yang, endless mysteries. This is called the netherworld. In this instant, Tang Ao felt a vast and incomparably profound thing. This thing couldn't be seen by Tang Ao, nor could he grasp it. He couldn't even describe it clearly, but Tang Ao could clearly feel that it existed. It was also because of this that Tang Ao could summon the netherworld flame without releasing the underworld life soul. Tang Ao closed his eyes and felt it for a moment before saying in a calm voice, "Is this the way of the netherworld?" This kind of enlightenment was a chance for a martial artist to reach a higher level of martial art. If the situation wasn't so dangerous right now, Tang Ao would have really wanted to stay here and comprehend it. After summoning the netherworld flame, Tang Ao immediately controlled the netherworld flame to fly towards Su Muyun's wound. Following that, Tang Ao saw that the blue and purple netherworld flame seemed to have an infinite amount of magic. The blood-red flames in Su Muyun's body seemed to be attracted by something and actually rushed into the netherworld flame, being refined into nothingness by the netherworld flame. After Tang Ao used the netherworld flame to refine the flames, Su Muyun's unstable aura gradually stabilized. However, due to the injuries to his internal organs, Su Muyun was still extremely weak and did not wake up immediately. Although Tang Ao hadn't summoned the underworld life soul, after releasing the netherworld fire, the essence energy condensed in Tang Ao's body was also completely expended. Tang Ao couldn't help but bitterly smile. Yuan Qi was much weaker than spiritual energy, but in this place, it wasn't easy to condense a bit of Yuan Qi. Tang Ao did not know how long it would take for his injuries to recover and how long it would take for his cultivation to recover. However, what Tang Ao was most worried about was not his own injury. Tang Ao was most worried about Chu Xuehan's safety. Back then, Chu Xuehan had fallen into the Flying Star Continent with him. After being in the Flying Star Continent for so long, Tang Ao still didn't know any news about Chu Xuehan. Moreover, because he had the 9 Dragons Emperor Jade body, he could absorb Yuan Qi to cultivate. However, Chu Xuehan did not have the 9 Dragons Emperor Jade body. Therefore, Chu Xuehan was just an ordinary person in the Flying Star Continent without the strength to truss a chicken. Even a reincarnated demon lord like Tang Ao could only sigh helplessly in the face of such a predicament. Seeing Su Muyun sleeping soundly on the bed, Tang Ao covered Su Muyun with a blanket and walked out of the house. Chapter 1236. Outside the bamboo house that Su Muyun lived in, there was a luxuriant bamboo forest. The other places in the hidden dragon cave were very dark, but this place was full of vitality. Tang Ao walked to a smooth boulder in the bamboo forest and sat on it. Tang Ao closed his eyes slightly and started to adjust his state. After his state of mind gradually calmed down, Tang Ao slowly opened his eyes and took out a jade bottle. The jade bottle was very crude, and the medicinal pills in the jade bottle were also very crude. But these 3 crude medicinal pills were incomparably precious to an alchemy grandmaster like Tang Ao, who stood at the pinnacle of spirit alchemy masters. After taking a deep breath, Tang Ao did not think too much and consumed these 3 extremely crude middle-grade essence cultivating pills at the same time. If others were to see this scene, they would definitely be shocked speechless. The essence qi contained in the middle-grade essence cultivating pills was not as domineering as the high-grade essence cultivating pills and supreme-grade essence cultivating pills, but the middle-grade essence cultivating pills similarly contained pure essence qi. Even a martial artist at the peak of the body refining realm at the 9th level would not dare to consume 3 middle-grade essence cultivating pills at the same time. If they did this, their meridians would most likely burst from this large amount of essence qi. But after Tang Ao consumed 3 middle-grade essence cultivating pills, Tang Ao only felt like a drop of water falling into a dry ocean. After consuming 3 essence cultivating pills, it could not even be considered as a cup of water on a burning cart of firewood. But even so, Tang Ao did not dare to waste a single bit of the essence qi of the essence cultivating pills. After consuming the essence cultivating pills, Tang Ao immediately focused his attention and started to refine the essence qi in the essence cultivating pills, striving to not waste a single bit. Although this essence qi was not much, it was extremely important to the current Tang Ao. Right now, Tang Ao's body was filled with injuries. There were not many meridians that could be used. So if Tang Ao wanted to find Chu Xuehan and recover his strength, it was necessary for him to heal his injuries. The energy of the 3 middle-grade essence cultivating pills was quickly refined by Tang Ao. Tang Ao's aura also rose to the 3rd level of the body refining realm. However, the aura of the 3rd level of the body refining realm did not last for long. Tang Ao's vital qi rapidly declined. As his primordial energy plummeted, the jade bone life soul in Tang Ao's body, which had been dim all this while, instantly lit up. Like green stars, Tang Ao's body gradually emitted light. With the supply of primordial qi, a gentle and cool feeling flowed through Tang Ao's limbs and bones from his jade bone life soul. This long-lost comfortable feeling made Tang Ao feel carefree in his heart. Under the healing of the jade bone life soul, Tang Ao's accumulated external injuries quickly recovered. The hideous wound on Tang Ao's back quickly healed and scabs formed. The scar fell off and his smooth skin was restored. Tang Ao's organs also recovered quickly. His originally weak organs were instantly filled with vitality. The lifeless feeling that Tang Ao gave off also disappeared at this moment. What replaced it was a vigorous vitality. The strength of the Jade Bone Life Soul was fully displayed at this moment. Not long after, Tang Ao's external injuries were completely healed. At this moment, other than the damage to his spiritual C and soul C, Tang Ao's other injuries were completely healed. After his injuries were healed, Tang Ao once again felt the carefree circulation of his 108 meridians Yuan Qi. When Tang Ao circulated his cultivation technique, the surrounding heaven and earth Yuan Qi continuously surged towards Tang Ao. At this moment, Tang Ao seemed to have become the center of the world. Chapter 12:37. This cultivation speed was already shocking enough. Who knew how many martial artists couldn't reach this height in their entire lives? However, Tang Ao was very dissatisfied. He had absorbed a lot of Yuan Qi just now, but this space seemed to have a special suppressive power. According to Tang Ao's understanding of Yuan Qi, after absorbing so much Yuan Qi, he could at least reach the origin martial realm. However, in reality, not only did Tang Ao not surpass the body refining realm to the origin martial realm, he only reached the 5th level of the body refining realm. Although he didn't advance to the origin martial realm, Tang Ao was still in a good mood after recovering from his injuries. Although Tang Ao was only at the 5th level of the origin martial realm, in this hidden dragon cave, Tang Ao had the ability to protect himself. Tang Ao tidied up his clothes and walked back to Su Muyun's bamboo house. At this moment, Su Muyun was still lying on the bed. Although her breathing was even, it was very weak. Tang Ao couldn't do anything before, but now that Tang Ao's strength had recovered to the 5th level of the body refining realm, he could use the Jade Bone Life Spirit to a certain extent. With a thought, the Jade Bone Life Spirit was summoned by Tang Ao. Under the control of Tang Ao's psyche, the Jade Bone Life Spirit floated into Su Muyun's body. However, what surprised Tang Ao was that the Jade Bone Life Spirit couldn't do anything to the injury caused by Qi Yang's strange flame. Or rather, with Tang Ao's current cultivation, the Jade Bone Life Spirit couldn't heal this injury. However, although the Jade Bone Life Spirit couldn't heal Su Muyun, the rich life force from the Jade Bone Life Spirit made Su Muyun's face not so pale. Just then, Su Muyun's eyes twitched as he opened them slowly. When Su Muyun opened her eyes, she saw Tang Ao grabbing her hand. Su Muyun asked curiously, "Why are you grabbing my hand?" Su Muyun's question made Tang Ao feel very awkward. Just as Tang Ao didn't know how to answer, Tang Ao suddenly felt a soul wave from the kitten on Su Muyun's bed. This soul wave wasn't unfamiliar to Tang Ao. It was the soul wave of sound transmission. Tang Ao was secretly startled. He didn't expect that this seemingly weak kitten would actually have such a high spiritual intelligence. After Su Muyun heard Xiao Ling's voice, she looked at Tang Ao with her beautiful eyes and said, "Thank you, but I need to use those 2 essence-augmenting pills to heal Xiao Bai. It will take some time before I can return them to you. Just focus on recuperating. I don't need those 2 vitality-fostering pills anymore." As Tang Ao spoke, he released the aura of a 5th-level body refining realm martial artist. Tang Ao felt that Su Muyun's heart was very kind, and he was a person with principles. Even if such a person wasn't pretty, Tang Ao was willing to befriend her. Moreover, Su Muyun was a true beauty. After sensing Tang Ao's aura that was at the 5th level of the body refining realm, Su Muyun's beautiful eyes and mouth were wide open. Her eyes were filled with disbelief. "Weren't you at the 1st level of the body refining realm? And your aura changed a lot." Although Su Muyun and Tang Ao hadn't known each other for long, Su Muyun still remembered Tang Ao's previous state. Tang Ao didn't hide it. I was heavily injured and had to hide my cultivation. I've recovered a bit now. Hearing Tang Ao's explanation, Su Muyun nodded. Immediately after, Su Muyun asked, Little Ling said you have a special life soul that can heal. Can you help heal Little Ling? Su Muyun looked at Tang Ao with a pleading gaze. Her pleading contained a hint of anxiousness, making her look pitiful. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.